true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I am J is for Not Muted. Welcome to my channel. And if you are new here, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up if you like what you see. Thank you so much for joining this afternoon. Happy Monday. It is Monday, March 6th, 2023. Can you believe it? We are closing in on St. Patrick's Day, guys. Let me know in chat if you guys do anything for St. Patrick's Day. And if you are a replay crew, go ahead and let me know in the comments what you do. They're cutting my grass. So if you hear any feedback, they're cutting grass out there. I know some of you guys are buried in up there. I know some of you are... Wait, hold up. I gotta fix my audio here. There we go. There we go. Now we've got some sound bites. All right, so guys in chat, you've got your moderators are dressed in blue. They are Angie B, as far as I know right now. Thank you, Angie B, for being the lone mod. Lips, it's your anniversary that day. What day? What day is your anniversary, love? Oh, St. Patrick's Day? How cool. You got married on St. Patrick's Day. Do you have like green? Did you guys wear green? What did you do to celebrate that? Betsy Leak, proud Roberta for 17 months. Look at her picture. That's what I think when I think 17-month-long Roberta. Thank you so much.
What?
Spriggs, this is the Ghetto Boys. Hey, Sandra. Well, that's awesome. You're getting married the day... Allison is getting married the day before St. Patrick's next year. Emerald theme. That's awesome. That's cool, Lips. I like that. I like that outlook. Like, people party this day, so why not make it about us? Hi, legendary CEO.
La 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 means be quiet and let me finish.
Hello, Carrie. White Dog Carrie. Hello, Heather. Did you guys have a good weekend? Oh, we got Mike Sanner. Mike Sanner came dressed in blue. Never mind him. He's a little gassy, but he's a great moderator. And he also has a wealth of knowledge. Shoot. Corn, beef, and cabbage if I'm going to manage. All right, so I was just going to get right into it and take your calls, but guess what? Brian Kohberger responded to his lawsuit. So if you're trying to call me, it's on Do Not Disturb, so you're not going to get through yet till I open up those lines. Hello, Allison, Jenny, Melissa, and Olive, Elherm, and CR. Jenny W. I already said Jenny. Mandy Joe. If I missed any other Roberters. Chick. I always go to say your name wrong. Chick Antique. And onesie. My onesies. Olive Juice and onesies. You guys have been around for a while. Boy Mom, hello. Kendra, hello. If you are into making shorts, but you don't, want to have your own platform. If you are down for like making shorts, like you enjoy, finding that content and you would like to share it with J is for Justice, go ahead and send an email to the team. We have a couple people that have responded and thank you so much. We just have not gotten back with everyone yet, but I totally appreciate it. And there's a lot of people out there that like to sleuth that may not, want to bother with their own platform. If you guys want to sleuth, send an email to that same email. Kelsey. Oh my gosh. Kelsey has been here. Kelsey found a finger in a Florida river. Let's just say that. Kelsey is an OG. J is for Justice Watcher. Good to see you, girl. And Mr. L says, in other news, Lanier is aged 5 more years this week. All right, let's do it, guys. So I was going to take your calls right off the rip, but Brian has responded, and it's a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. So I wasn't sure how much we were going to actually get into this. So I still do plan on taking your calls because I don't think we're going to get a whole lot out of this because it's not like Brian sat down and wrote like a memoir. So we'll go through it and we'll see if there's anything interesting. But he did have until the 3rd to respond. Yeah, a finger in the river, and I say it like it's no big deal. I've had her tell the story I don't know how many times. I make her call in. Kelsey, you better call in today and tell the finger story. All right, so this is like the table of contents of what's in here. The nature of the case, statement of the facts and course of proceedings, issues presented, the argument, whether a writ of mandamus or prohibition is the proper vehicle for the media's request, introduction, standard of review, and then all this extraordinary writ of mandamus. I don't know what any of this means. Conclusion and certificate of mailing. And then this is all of their citations. Looks like a lot. So, I guess we can read through this. This looks like it's normal language. Hello, Mark Klein. Hey, Brookie. Hey, Leaf Lover and Coffee Cake. And V-Slims. No, this was years and years ago she found that finger. It was a long time ago. Coffee Cake, I'm starting to have doubts. Thinking if 118 is correct, he may be guilty after all. Okay, let's read through. You guys are going to have to kind of guide me through this if you've read it. It was a fish fry finger. This is a petition by various media companies to this court to grant a writ that would dissolve the amended non-dissemination order entered in State versus Kohberger. The media's main contention is that the magistrate court, the petitioner refers to this as the district court, should have had to hold a hearing and taken evidence to enter the amended non-dissemination order. Brian Kohberger appears now to argue on his own behalf that no such hearing is required to enter an order that merely reflects longstanding rules of professional conduct and that the no comment order in this matter is appropriate given the level of media scrutiny. On December 29th, the state filed 4 charges of first-degree murder against Brian Kohberger. On December 30th, attorneys made a limited appearance on his behalf. On January 3rd, 2023, the state and Mr. Kohberger agreed to the entry of a non-dissemination order. And then they post the non-dissemination order. On January 13th, 2023, the magistrate court held a meeting via Zoom with the parties under seal. As a result of that meeting, the court entered an amended non-dissemination order on January 18th, 2023. This order contained a preface indicating the law permits the entry of such an order, that the parties stipulated to its entry, and added the attorneys for witnesses, victims, and victims' families to be bound by the order. Additionally, it added a first section that prohibited all attorneys and their agents from making extrajudicial statements, written or oral, concerning this case, except without additional comment, a quotation from or reference to the official public record of the case. So the original order remained as a part 2. Now they have all these little notes. On February 3rd, 2023, an attorney for a victim's family filed a motion to appeal, amend, and or clarify amended non-dissemination order, which is Shannon Gray. In his memorandum in support of motion for appeal, The attorney indicated he had not stipulated to the entry of the order. The crux of his motion was that the order should not apply to him at all. On February 6th, the petitioners filed their request for a writ that would dissolve the non-dissemination order, which the petitioners referred to as a gag order. On February 28th, the magistrate court unsealed a memorandum with redactions of the January 13th meeting. Issues presented: whether the petitioners should have filed a motion to amend the non-dissemination order before seeking this relief, whether the magistrate court was required to hold a hearing or make findings before entering a non-dissemination order involving purely attorneys, their agents, and law enforcement, whether the magistrate court was required to hold a hearing or make findings before entering a no-comment order involving purely attorneys, their agents, and law enforcement. Argument. Oh my God. I don't know if I can read all of this. So they're saying it's in the wrong standard. This is not an appropriate order. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, they're citing Daybell. The petitioners in this matter have argued that there is no way for them to seek relief from the non-dissemination order because there is no way to intervene. However, in State versus Daybell, Fremont County, case number, many of the same media corporations all appear to be in both cases. There are possibly more media corporations that took part in both cases, given that the way the media groups are named seems to differ slightly. That our named petitioners in this matter filed an interested person's response to the defendant's motion to clarify media in the courtroom. In its memorandum decision and order prohibiting video and photos, the district court in Daybell indicated that the media had been permitted to participate in the filings and subsequently denied the media's request. The petition makes no mention of this. Rather, it indicates that intervention in a criminal case is not provided for by rule. Petitioner's brief at 5, while true, that hardly prevents the petitioners from filing a motion as interested parties before the magistrate court in the case below, just as they have in other cases. And then they cite those. The media also claims it has not had the opportunity to lodge a written or oral objection. There is no indication in the record that they have ever tried in the case below. It is rather odd to claim a lack of opportunity to challenge an order that has already been amended once and can certainly be amended again, as will be examined below. What the media really seeks here is a procedural victory, knowing full well it cannot win on the merits of any test, given the pervasive and grotesquely twisted nature of media coverage that has occurred thus far. So Brian Kohberger is saying that the media coverage thus far has been pervasive and grotesquely twisted. The media, by never even attempting to appear before the magistrate court, provides this court with no record of what it claims has done wrong. So I wonder if Kohberger's team was leaking, or somebody was leaking shit wrong to Banfield to prove a point. Maybe, I don't know. And don't worry, chat. I'm going to come back. I'm going to go back and scroll through and read all your comments. Because I'm just reading this. I don't really know what everything means. So the media, by never attempting to appear before the magistrate court, provides this court with no record of what it claims has gone wrong. Thus, it wishes to argue that there had to be a record of what has gone right. But the questions of whether the magistrate court made an error in entering these orders is far from the appropriate target for a writ of mandamus. This is simply an appeal from an order the media chose not to take part in. Then they cite the Wall Street Journal about them, what they call leapfrogging into this court's original jurisdiction. Because it kind of went, it didn't start anywhere else. It was right in the Supreme Court's hands, right? Even if this court were to agree with the federal courts that a writ of mandamus is the appropriate vehicle because of the speed at which it operates, the federal courts permit the media to make its case below. The court should be extremely wary of rewarding the refusal to partake in the ordinary course of legal proceedings by granting the extraordinary writ. The extraordinary writ of prohibition is inappropriate in this case because the media is not requesting the magistrate refrain from something. This is all legal arguments. So they're saying that they should be practicing professional ethics and that they shouldn't have to be told that they can't do certain things. The petitioners claim that strict scrutiny is appropriate for a non-dissemination order for attorneys and their agents has no basis in law. Instead, the petitioners cherry-pick quotations from cases that pointedly do not require strict scrutiny. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Law jargon. Okay, let's keep scrolling through. I mean, obviously he's arguing that he wants the he wants that to stay in place. He doesn't want that lifted, and the media wants access to everything. The media insists that the record does not show the magistrate conducted a hearing before issuing the order. This court is aware that the magistrate had a duty pursuant to the Idaho Code of Judicial Conduct Rule 2.15 to take appropriate action where attorneys engage in conduct. Moreover, it has a duty to safeguard Mr. Kohberger's right to a fair trial. The right, thus, if the magistrate was aware of conduct concerning the behavior of attorneys in this matter, it had a duty to implement an order to correct misbehavior. Yikes, Ashley. Hey, damaged. Love you too. Look at her, Roberta, for 8 months. You're so sweet. Really, Mary P? Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Let's see. Okay, it says here, the media seems to argue that the magistrate court should have included at least a summary of the news stories that caused it to deem the no comment order necessary. If this were an appeal, it would be tempting to agree. However, this is a petition for the writ of mandamus. This matter is only 2 months old. As noted in the first section of this brief, the media has the ability to request the dissolution of the order or its amendment at the magistrate level. So they're peeved that they went straight to the Supreme Court. So they want the Supreme Court to probably just throw it out and them have to file it elsewhere. But I think the media went above and beyond the good old boys club, maybe. Do you think? Yeah, I think social media has made their jobs so difficult. And I agree, there has to be maybe I don't know, maybe they can come up with like an across the board type thing. It feels a little sassy to me too, Brooke. In this case, the record makes it clear that the magistrate court was responding, as it is required to do so for purposes of due process and the judicial canons to the media coverage in this case. Even if the magistrate court went too far, that is something that is best addressed at the trial level. This court should not simply dissolve the protection put in place for Mr. Kohberger on this record. And then it says this court should find that the petitioners failed to raise their issues before the magistrate court in the first instance and that this petition is premature. Further, this court should find that the second part of the amended non-dissemination order in this matter merely echoes the ethical rules already binding on the attorneys and their agents and required no additional consideration or findings to be entered. The petitioner's petition should be denied. Dated this 2nd day of March, 2023, and this is signed by J. Weston Logsden. Okay, so that would be the first document. See, I mean, I can't even pronounce this stuff. Intervenor Kohberger brief in response to the petition. Declaration is next. So why do you guys think that the media went straight to why do you think they went straight to the Supreme Court?
She said, we came home, we planted flowers.
I mean, there's too many like question marks in this case for them to, I think, lift this. Put a 1 in chat if you agree with the gag order, or put a 2 in chat if you don't. Put a 1 if you agree with them having a gag order at this point. Put a 2 if you think they shouldn't. I think that Az is saying they agree with due process and lack of media reporting on everything. And I agree. I don't think they have a boss. No, I mean, the courts can oversee them. Declaration of Deborah A. Ferguson in opposition to the petition for a writ of mandamus or a writ of prohibition. So this is a lawyer for who? Who is the... I thought Kohberger was the respondent. Oh, the court's a respondent, not Kohberger. He just kind of butted in. Okay. Deborah Ferguson is a partner with the law firm of Ferguson Durham. She has personal knowledge. Da da da. Exhibit A, which is stipulation to unseal. Oh, because they unsealed the minutes to that meeting, right? The Zoom meeting. I agree with you, Brookie. Right, Chick Antique. Same here. I mean, I think a lot of us, it's for selfish reasons. You know, we get invested. But I think you're right. I think it is, you know, it's obviously for selfish reasons because we don't know these people. But with all the question marks in this case, I really think that the less is more, you know. Hey, Still Waters. Right. I was reading that wrong, Altered Soul. I'm sorry. I was reading it as Kohberger was one of the respondents, but it's the media. The media is filed against the district court. And what they're saying is, well, you didn't even go to the district court. So why are you filing against them when you didn't even try to, you know, work it out at that level? So they're wanting her to just, or him to just drop it. Deny it. Denied.
Yeah.
All right. So then, what is this though? Have we seen this? February 27th? Oh, yeah, that's just her saying she's going to release it. Okay. So that's just a repeat. Notice of erotica. No, I'm just kidding. This is petitions, respondents. Brian is the intervener. So Deborah Ferguson, this is for the media or for the court? This is the media lawyers. Wendy Olson and Corey Carone. Says here on page 3 of the intervener respondent, Brian C. Kohberger's brief in response to the petition for a writ of mandamus, it is incorrect, and Part D is missing entirely. Attached is the correct table of contents. So they must have attached something wrong. Okay. All right. Here is respondent's brief in opposition to petition. So this would be the state responding. Is this the one you guys think I should read through? I agree, Ascot. But the media has been doing that since the freaking sun has risen. On December 30th, Brian was arrested and charged for allegedly murdering 4 students at the University of Idaho. The case is in the pretrial phase and set for a preliminary on June 26, 2023. In light of the extraordinary media coverage, the prosecutor and Mr. Kohberger's counsel agreed that a non-dissemination order was necessary. 4 days later, they filed a stipulation with a proposed order with the court to protect against adversely affecting the integrity of the case to be presented at trial. What are you guys talking about? Page 118. This is just going through everything that happened. I just want to know the outcome. I'll leave this up to like lawyer, I'll let him lose his voice reading all this. This is just them arguing back and forth, pretty much. Respondent's verified answer. What does that mean? Verified. In answering paragraph 2, respondents assert it does not contain allegations, but is instead a narrative that they can neither admit nor deny. Respondents state further that they are aware of the events leading to the arrest of Brian C. Kohberger. What page was that somebody was saying? Let me scroll back. Hey, Jackie215. I see a lot of you are agreeing. Joha says, do not bite now, but this could be a big drug case. Gag order is good to victims too. I mean, we don't know what other things arose out of this investigation. That's what I'm getting to, Jennifer Spraggs. She says they should have went to their court, not Supreme Court is what I'm getting. But I'm at work. I think you're right. And he's calling them out on it. Like, hey, take it to, go through the right chain of commands. A lot of you guys are agreeing with it now. I know at first that I like that. Asgad Industries, we have to protect our rights to being innocent before proven guilty, not the other way around. And the media, way too much control to sway the minds of others, for sure. An Altered Soul, same thing. The media already has them guilty. They never report about the inconsistencies or why the crime scene was handled the way it was handled or the 911. I feel like maybe in kind of a roundabout way, Banfield did kind of question that. Oh, what do you know what the book is, Mandy Joe? I remember the 118 was underlined. Yeah. Hi, Tracy V. I just think that we need to let it all come out in court because there's probably so much. And you know how this goes when they do like big, like deep investigations like this, they could uncover other things. You know, they could be investigating. They could have gotten surveillance footage and been like, oh my God, like there's, you know, some drug activity over here, or there's a sex offender that isn't registered. I mean, there's a lot of things that can come out of a big investigation like this. Elliot Rogers manifesto. Who's Elliot Roger? Token. I think this was planned. Okay, I think that Brian put the most effort into the pre-planning of this, and I'm gonna stick by what I said in the beginning. Is I think he planted a lot of seeds out there. Hey, Shell. It's Rogers with a D, like Papa Rogers. They are making videos of who is Elliot Rogers. Oh, he killed people. It says Elliot Rogers incel. I've never even heard that word until this case, incel. I'm like, what the fuck is an incel? I never knew what that was. Weird. But he killed himself. The Isla Vista killings. And he killed himself? Oh, wait. This is another guy that worshiped. David Kaufman. Who the fuck are these people? Check this out. Like, what? So there's a guy that also, I guess, this guy. Ugh. This is creeping me out.
In the name of Jesus, Father God, Lord.
This is Elliot Roger right here. David Kaufman, 28, terrorized and harasses victims through threats of violence. Last year, 30 months? Did he already get out? Dude, is this in our in our system or overseas? Involuntary celibacy club. That is so weird. How did I not hear about this? Ew, so he like mimicked someone else, we think? His manifesto? Oh, God. David Kaufman, look at this. How did he get out? David Kaufman, 28, of Peekskill, New York, stalked and harassed at least 3 women between February 2019 and August of 2020, bombarding them with death, bomb, and rape threats through social media. Authorities say Kaufman took inspiration from the misogynistic mass murderer Elliot Roger, who killed 6 people and injured 14 others near a college campus in California in 2014. In a video found after his death, he said he blamed women for rejecting him.
God almighty.
The disturbing messages sent by Kaufman included a picture of one of Rogers' female murder victims, along with the message, "This is what happened when a woman said no to Elliot Rodger. Women have done nothing but spit in my face. Soon I'll be getting a gun." What? Incel forums? What? This is a thing? Why are they doing this? Is fucking weird. Did this Elliot Rodger thing start this whole movement thingy? Like, is he the, like, initiator? Hang on, I want to see this video. It's 30-second ad. What do you mean, Mandy? Is it a hole? Oh, I waited to hear their music. They're not even gonna... Jake Davidson, the gunman who murdered 5 people in Plymouth on Thursday, has been named as crane operator Jake Davidson. 22-year-old killed 5 people, including a 3-year-old girl, in a 6-minute spree. David is said to have shot members of his own family. The gunman then allegedly moved to a park and opened fire on strangers. Police believe the suspect shot himself as he was found dead at the scene. 2 females and a male were dead at the scene, and another woman died a short time later. What the freak? This is, I think, in England. But how do you justify, like, oh, women wouldn't go on a date with me, so I'm just going to go kill, like, a 3-year-old?
For donuts.
And he acts like a patriot?
To come together to make sense of the events yesterday. And we've got community centres and churches, schools opening across the Keyham and Keyham area to give people a space for people to be able to share their experience, just how they're feeling about the...
I don't get it. That is so stupid. Elliot's video, he has... Is it banned? They kill happy couples. Is that what happened to the couple in Oregon that was stabbed? I'll do the manifesto and the video in another live. I'll do a reaction. I won't watch it. I'll do like a live reaction. 108. Oh, maybe I won't. Oh, man, Feminem, that's not good. I didn't know there was an actual community. That's really gross. And weird. Like, when did that become it? Like, when did that start? In 2019, when the weirdness started? When the COVID weirdness started and everybody was offended if you didn't use a right pronoun? I don't even remember what a pronoun was when I heard that. I'm like, what? I haven't been asked about a pronoun since I was in, like, middle school. I mean, I might sound really dumb right now, but I'm being dead serious. I had no reason to worry about pronouns, so I don't even remember what that is. I'm lucky if I remember nouns and verbs, okay? Mr. J. Quinn, I know, I feel you, babe. Right, I mean, how stupid, like, oh, none of us can get laid. Let's announce it by creating a community of all of us losers who can't, like, socialize because we're socially inept. But let's just announce it by making a group. Dumb. And when I heard that people are offended if you get the wrong pronouns or if you don't add, like, My daughter is, like 22 years old, and people get offended if you don't use the right pronoun thing. And you know what? It's like, guess what? I'm not from that generation, so I don't want to learn it. I don't want to know what it is, and I don't care. And that's the way I feel. I'm not using pronouns, and I'm not worrying about it. So I'm going to be one of those crabby old bitches who refuses to conform to these changes.
Shall we play a game?
Openly Avoidant, thank you so much for your super chat. She says, Elliot Rodger had a YouTube channel. You can still find the videos on YouTube, but the channel itself was taken down. There's a fan base for him. All right, well, now I'm curious. Wait, let's look through the rest of these. I don't think there's anything that we're going to get from these, though. Like I said, go subscribe to a lawyer, like Lawyer You Know, and let him read it. Meghan Markle's I know she didn't sign that because that's not her bubble letters. So the last thing filed was a brief in opposition, and this was filed by Brian Kohberger. Kohberger. And it just goes on to cite about fair trials. I bet you the Supreme Court throws it out. What do you guys think? Okay, so Elliot Rodger's manifesto. All right, first we're going to go to YouTube and we're going to look up Elliot Rodger's video. I have never seen this kid, ever. I don't ever want to see his face again.
I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass.
And this is his dad? Are these people real?
What you are witnessing is real. The participants are not actors.
He was the loneliest person I ever met. What? Where's his actual video? Wait until you hear him talk. Thems. Yeah, I've never heard of this. Where is his video? Right here?
He titled it My Twisted World. Despair being planted, writing the time of fair play was at its end.
Oh, this is what Brian did with his stupid stuff with his fake snow or whatever. His snow that's in a spray can. I don't believe any of it. I think that Brian just duplicated something. I think he's a drug addict who had a messed up mind and he duplicated this crap.
Major developments after that shooting rampage, the shooting spree itself lasting several minutes. And the slow and steady line of people this Sunday placing flowers at every stop along that route of terror. Tonight here, more on those chilling and eerie videos and on the police visit with the suspect well before all of this unfolded. We do have team coverage from the scene in California, and we begin here with ABC's Bazik Kanani right there again for us tonight.
Well, they're not playing it. I don't know. I don't see it. Let's open up the phone lines. What do you guys say? Who's ready to call in? Who is ready to call in? We already had somebody try. So let me open up those lines. Get that number back up. That dude is scary looking, though. Call me and let me know what you guys are thinking of all of this stuff. His two neighbors said he had a woman upstairs. Who's that, Joha? Brian? He looks like an actor to you, Mary? Yeah, it almost seems like he's like trying to pull a hoax to like be cool. Shit.
Call from Stephanie. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Hey, what's up? You're live.
Hi, this is Stephanie.
Hey,
Thanks for taking
Stephanie.
my call.
Absolutely.
Thanks for taking my call. I love your channel.
Thank you.
I have a few things I'd like to say about this case. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and my area of concentration is death investigation. And I had a whole theory about this case, and I was listening to another YouTuber, and they had an expert on, and the expert came and said the same thing I did. I think that Brian Kohberger was a budding, not serial killer, but an SAer. I don't know what terms I can use.
Yeah, SA. You think he was like a rapist?
Yeah, yes. I was going to use that word, but I didn't want to.
Yeah, no,
up.
it's okay.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. Worrying about that, but yeah. So you think he was
Right.
a potential like rapist?
That's what I think the intent was, like to maybe take Maddie out, of the house, and so forth. Take her at knife point out of the house, and because all of his behavioral patterns lead toward the fact that he was probably going to become a serial rapist. I know all the pundits and stuff are saying serial killer, but I think they're kind of playing that up for the media. I do think that he only intended to go in there to kill one victim, but it turned into 4 for a variety of reasons that we've already discussed. But there's a lot of things in his background that lead me to believe that, he was a budding serial rapist. And this is just my opinion only, of course, So one of the main things is the jogging at night. Peeping Toms and rapists will do that. And if you look on the warrants, there's basically saying that he was walking in his neighborhood and they saw him walking around like a residence and stuff like that. So I think he's more of like a peeping Tom and more of like a rapist. And I just think that basically like he went in there to maybe get Maddie, and then Haley was in there unexpectedly and she woke up and there was, that issue, maybe a fight, a struggle, which is why I think the sheath was there, because I think she either pulled it off his belt or he forgot about it. And then, it went downhill from there. And so, and another expert said that yesterday, and I was like, oh, he stole my theory. But yeah, that's what I think, especially with all the stuff that's in the car. And then, rapists in general, a lot of times like knives, because to them, sometimes knives represent a phallic symbol. So, and, it's a power and control thing with that. So that's personally what I think. I mean, of course, we won't know till more of this comes out. And I do think this has, is drug affiliated. But I also think that was his main issue and his main motive. And so forth. And I think he kind of tells on himself when he tells the neighbor that it was a crime of passion. And then I'm also curious about his comment when he says, basically, was anybody else arrested? Because I think he's kind of inadvertently or subconsciously like telling on himself, because if you're innocent, you're gonna say I'm innocent. But if you're saying, well, was somebody else arrested? That's like sort of saying, I know somebody else was involved. He's trying to see if somebody else is talking, which is kind of an indirect admission of guilt without coming out and saying it. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope I explained that. Okay.
It does. It does.
And I think that he was, I do think that he was the only one involved in the murders. He could have had accomplice, like driving the car after the fact or whatever the case. But it is possible to kill that many people in that small amount of time, especially because people think, oh, 4 people, that's a lot. But it's not like you're killing 4 people at one time. You're killing them separately. So, it's like if they're sleeping and you get one and then you go to the next one and then, so forth. It doesn't take long, especially like with a knife. I mean, I don't mean to be crass or
right. I mean, and I see people in chat like sounding off right now saying, there was no sign of sexual assault. And how I've always felt about that, the same thing I feel about them coming out. Oh, that's our timer. I'm like, what the hell is that? You don't have to hang up. Hang on. Let me turn it off. It's like a damn alarm clock. Turn it off. Make it stop. Oh my God, where is it? Okay. Sorry about that, hon. Okay, so what were we saying? I'm sorry. That totally threw me off.
Me too. But you were saying that people in the chat were saying there's no sign of sexual assault, and I'm aware of that. He didn't get to complete the act. I think he was going to take her out of the house, and he didn't get to do that. But what I'm saying is he, with rapists, they elevate, so they start like peeping Tom, and then they start like stalking, and then they just keep kind of elevating and stuff like that. And so that's why I'm saying I think, when this is kind of what I thought. And then when I heard in the warrant that he was, walking around other residents, kind of sounded like he might have been peeping. Like they were kind of saying he was peeping without saying it, because when I see that warrant, with the stuff that they found in the house and everything, that tells me a lot. I can read between the lines with a lot of that stuff. And
what do you think about them saying that they weren't bound and gagged?
That they weren't bound and gagged?
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard that.
Oh, okay. We watched the press conferences yesterday. We watched 3 of them from November.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, Lanier comes out and he says, I just want to clear up some rumors. And one of those rumors was the online rumor that the victims were tied and gagged is not true. And I did a poll in my chat and I was like, how many people heard this rumor? No one.
I haven't heard the rumor, but the thing is, this is why it kind of upsets me that they're trying to say that he was trying to follow a BTK, because BTK was bind, torture, kill. So he went specifically to bind them, torture them, and kill them.
Right.
And
but for them to want to get rid of that rumor and put that to rest kind of was weird to me, because Kevin said it was November 20th. They were saying, oh, we need to get this rumor squashed when no one heard it. So to me, that tells me that information was put out for the perpetrator.
Yeah. I mean, I think in a lot of ways that they were talking to him to a degree. They kept saying, no, there's no person of interest, because these folks will act a certain way. And, I kind of think he wasn't going back to Washington, because I think when he took that hard drive, he, took it so that he would have it in Pennsylvania. And I really don't think he's stupid enough to keep the knife, but I'm very curious about the fact of the way that it's, 1, listed number 1, number 2, the brand is not named on there, and number 3, it doesn't say it has a sheath, whereas the other knife that's not a pocket knife. They listed the brand and they listed that it had a sheath.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's interesting. So I'm reading between the lines with a lot of the stuff that they're doing, and I think that they spoke a certain way to kind of get him to react a certain way. But I mean,
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
take
tactics, so it's kind of hard for us to decipher tactics versus truth. And I guess it's not really, we're not owed anything, and that's why we all chase our tails with these high profile cases. Every time it turns into this, it becomes bigger than it actually is. And then it's hard for people to believe that it is just that. When it comes out and the truth comes out, then it's like, wait a minute, we've blown this up to like international child trafficking case, and then they come out and say, the kid got hit by a car and the people hit the body. You know what I mean? Like, it could go from something simple to something international on YouTube in a heartbeat. And that's why I'm glad they're keeping everything closed. I just don't know the motives of everybody involved in the legal process. And I'll just leave that there. On both sides.
Right.
Everything that I've seen from that area, all around, is very not what I'm used to seeing in courts and in positions like that. I'm not used to that kind of corruption. So it was a little eye-opening to me. It really made me realize what people mean when they say good old boys. Because where I come from, our town wasn't like that. And I think it's a shame. And I think that those good old boy systems that chain needs to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's, I think, the big problem here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but I mean, I really think, and when you hear the experts sit there and say that, they need to go look if he's killed others, I think they're sensationalizing it a little bit or embellishing it a little bit. What I really think that they need to look at is to see if there's any unsolved sexual assaults, in the Pennsylvania area where the perp used a knife.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, though, about some guy in Pullman just yesterday or Friday, rather? They received a bunch of calls. This guy was actually caught masturbating on College Hill on WSU campus, but he wasn't caught. They got pictures, surveillance, and they say they've identified him, but they haven't caught him.
Right.
Peeping,
yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, what now? Peeping
in the windows and everything else. So is it possible that there's just a lot of creeps that creep around a sorority? I mean, sororities that would, if you were a creeper, that's where you're going to go, especially if there's two colleges nearby. You're going to flock to those, right?
Right. And a lot of people wonder why Brian chose WSU. And I mean, there could be a lot of reasons for that, but I think one of the reasons that he may have chosen it was because he knew there were two colleges so close together. It's like there's more access to girls, drugs, all the things that he was interested in. So, I know they try to compare him to Bundy, but he doesn't have all the philias that Bundy had. That's kind of legal speak, but usually with most criminal activity, there's some type of underlying sexual deviancy, whether that be
I agree with you.
Kleptomania.
I agree with you.
I mean, I know there is. I have the education in it. So
I mean, I'm just saying, I think that he was physically attracted to one or more of those girls. And I think that he had his eyes on one in particular. That's just my opinion based on what we know. I could be totally off base, but I do think he had his eyes on one specific person. And I don't think it was Kaylee.
Yeah. And the other thing too, I mean, I don't want to take too much of your time because there may be some other callers and stuff.
Yeah, I'll let you go. But go ahead, get your last thought out.
but I was gonna say that another thing I'm just curious about, because a lot of this type of offender, they're a lot of fantasy oriented. And if you notice in Kaylee and Maddie's photos, they're holding hands. They almost look like, I mean, I know a lot of girls do that and stuff like that. You know, I know a lot of best friends do that, sisters do that, but I think he was taking the fantasy element of it and was, you know, thinking about the two girl thing, and you know, maybe they went that way. Not that I'm saying they did. I'm not trying to insinuate that. So
I mean, a lot of that. I'm not going to lie. I mean, that age bracket, that age group is about experimenting, and you do hear about a lot of bisexual guys and girls from, you know, that generation. And it's just the way it is. It doesn't make anybody a hater. It's just the way it is.
Right.
So I think that a lot of kids that age experiment, and they're more open to experimenting with that stuff. And I also think that there could be a little more to their social media than just, you know, maybe there was an OnlyFans thing going on. I don't know. I mean, we really don't know.
I don't know, but I'm just saying that I think that's why he may have fixated on them. Specifically, because there's a lot of girls there, you know, but maybe with him liking the blondes and then both being blondes and then them posing like a lot of times the way that they were posing, which isn't bad, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying in his, you know, demented, warped, you know, mind, that I think maybe it created more of a fantasy type environment for him than maybe some other just random blonde girls, you know.
I agree.
On there. So,
all right. Well, thanks for calling in.
No problem.
Right. Bye, Stephanie.
Love your show. Bye.
Thank you. All right. The phone lines are back open. That was a great caller. Thank you so much.
La, 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 la means let me finish.
All right. The phone line back open. I just want to say I've got this manifesto pulled up, and I was reading page 118 here. I'm wondering what part you guys think he had down. This part, I had nothing left to live for but revenge. But I do want to just get my thoughts out there. I don't think they had that kind of relationship either. I think they were sisters.
Call from
Diana.
What's up, Diana? You are live.
Oh, hello. I can't believe this actually went through. Okay.
It did. What's up, Diana?
Okay. I just have one thing that's going through my mind, and it might be a very quick call because everyone can say you're crazy. But what if this had nothing to do with Brian Kohberger, and actually the person who went in there was an actual professional? Like, I know it sounds silly. Like,
no, you don't sound silly at all. I've heard everything. I've heard everything. So go ahead.
You know, someone who goes in there and very quietly and surgically does something so brutal. Could that be anything to look at instead of looking at this guy who doesn't seem that dangerous?
Well, I mean, they could go either way, right? We just don't have enough information, I don't think, to answer that question.
Right.
I mean, I think it's possible. Don't you think it's weird, though, that the wording in there was like there was an informant or something?
I don't know anything about an informant. Like, I don't see why. Like, what are they informing on? Like drugs?
Yeah. I almost feel like maybe the Kohberger thing, you know, happened, but then there was a secondary issue that maybe came about after the deaths or something that made this more complicated, because they kept saying it's very complicated, because really an incel stalking, trying to rape and kill is not really all that complex, but it gets complex when you're dealing with maybe a drug ring, or, you know, getting outside of this immediate circle or something like that.
Yes. The other thing I can think of is Dylan being like the dealer, and that's why she took so long to get all that stuff that would get her in trouble out of the house.
That maybe she was the one that brought the drugs into the house, and
and that's why she was like freaking out and figuring out how to get everything out before calling the cops.
you know, that's pretty much a more logical explanation, to be honest with you. If you think about it that way, like if Dylan and Bethany or one or the other had something to hide, but they didn't necessarily have anything to do with the killings, they'd be in this like, oh shit position. What the fuck are we going to do?
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
So just, you know, food for thought. I don't think I have, you know, much more to say. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, somebody with like different ideas should go.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of a more rational way to look at it, isn't it? If you think about it, like, van life, all she was trying to do was answer her question on where the rumors came from. Listen, I'm going to say something right now. You could say it once, but you say it and you spam it, you're going to get timed out. Period. I mean, clearly y'all are coming in here just to disrupt. And I'm not going to have it. So just so you know. I'm taking callers that are serious and want to talk about cases. I'm not about trolling and disrupting shit. Yeah, I know. I saw it getting spammed. I saw it.
Call from
Wendy.
To accept, press 1.
Hey, Wendy, you're live. What's up?
Hey, I was just going to call and give you my theory on my speculation.
Sure.
And I just really feel like that Enon Harsh has something to do with it because he moved in there in August, and that's exactly, when Brian Kohberger moved to Pullman. And they both, do the same kind of drugs, and both of them were drug dealers at one time. I just really feel
How do you think they would have crossed paths, though?
Drugs.
Drugs?
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
So do you think that drugs have anything to do with the murders, or do you think that it's just two things colliding?
I think it's two things colliding, and I think that they're both incels, and I just think they got together and were doing drugs because he was in that area so many times, and I think he was at Enon's apartment.
I do too.
I do too. And and you have Enon here who, talks about his prison past and everything. And by everything he has said, he has not quit drugs whatsoever. I mean, it comes right up to the timeline. And you have Brian Kohberger being seen at the college. So, I mean, I really do believe that they knew each other. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Enon moved in there at that point in time in August. I think that they know each other. They've known each other through drugs. And I think that they were both incels and they both felt the same way. And I think he was the one, because I don't know whether you're a fan of the psychic Donna Reverend. I am. I don't really listen to that kind of stuff, but I do like her. And when she talks about, her first reading, that someone was outside watching, and he had to have somebody tell him when everybody was there. I mean, he had to. Somebody had to tip him off, and I do. And you listen to Enon.
Wait, what do you mean tip who off?
When to go in the house? Yeah. Somebody had to be watching for him. Somebody had to be.
Well, that's why I don't like that comment that the surviving roommates said that everybody was in their rooms or asleep by 4.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
exactly.
Weird.
And,
that's weird.
And if you listen to that call, that supposed audio of from next door of where you can hear inside the house at that timeline. You hear Ethan say at one point in time, and you can hear it clearly if you listen real good, when he screams that first time, but you hear him say, "This is bullshit." So he knows who it is. I mean, you can hear him say that. And then the next one is him going, "Oh," and then being killed. You can hear it. But he screams at one time, "This is bullshit." But anyway, I just think that.
And by the way, I just want to say, I think that audio is real.
I do too. I think it's absolutely real, without a doubt.
I know a lot of people don't. I do think that was a, backpedal. That was kind of like, trying to squash it. But I think.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know whether you've heard this, but you'd have to go back and listen. But I know I did. But there was one interview where Enon gave where he talks about that night. And he talks about, of course, we all know that he says he goes to sleep at 4 and he practices his juggling, whatever. But he also talks about that particular night that he gave some people. Do you remember this? He gave some people a ride. It's like he was a ride share driver. He didn't come out and say he was a ride share driver, but he did say he gave some people a ride. And he talks about that the guy and the girl in the back seat, that the girl was hitting on him. And the guy was saying,
I never heard that story.
Well, go back and listen to some of his interviews. It's in there. And he says that the guy said that if they find us murdered, talking about that Enon done it. And Enon says this. It's in one of his interviews. Go back and listen. It is in one of his interviews.
But don't you think, though, if Kaylee had mentioned, to her family that there was, a weirdo or, a stalker or someone, showing up at her work or something, that would have been in her phone, texting her sister, or her parents would know that information, hey, there was this guy that lived in... I mean, it seems as much as Kaylee talked to her family that...
I think, that's the thing. It may not... It may have been Brian Kohberger. She may not have said that it was Enon, like her neighbor.
Well, he gave Kaylee a bottle of wine, which is what I don't like. So I feel like they could have done this together.
I think they did. I honestly think that they did. But I also think that when he talks about giving those, because this is what weirds me out. Okay, you're going to have to go back and find that interview where he said that, where he talks about giving some people a ride that night. And it always made me wonder if it wasn't Ethan and Vanna, because of, their timeline is missing for a long time. And he specifically talks about that the girl was hitting on him and that the guy was weirded out by him. And it's about it. I forget what time he says he gave him a ride. It's right after he got home. And then in one other interview, he talks about that he played his games and don't talk about giving him a ride. But there is an interview where he says that he gave some people a ride home that night and how the girl was hitting on him. I'll have to find it, but you'll have to listen to it.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention. I'm not going to lie. I didn't pay a lot of attention to him. I did see his interview with Hidden True Crime.
Right.
And
which was totally freaky.
So weird. And it's like he played right into their questions too.
Well, and that one time when he laughs, I mean, why would you laugh about the people getting murdered? Why would you laugh about that?
Like there's nothing. Yeah. I mean, but then again, you have that guy, the state police guy was laughing at the press conference. I mean, people are just so crass,
There's something, and I don't know how you would connect it, but there's something going on with the Kopeka too. The Brett Cope that was shot by the SWAT team. And I find it weird because the only thing that ever mentions really him is by the family member who goes to defend Brian, which it's his sister, because at the end of the deal, she says, so stop making videos about my dad and my brother. I mean, hello, we know it's you.
You think that was really his sister?
Oh, well, yeah. She don't have another, she don't.
I
they
just
have
thought
the
it was a
same dad.
troll lying.
No. I think it's definitely his sister. Definitely his sister. But she talks about him doing drugs in that parking lot. That's, and
What did she say again? What did that person say?
Well, she was talking about that how he was innocent and that Brett and Brian, that's how they knew each other, is they did drugs together. She said because he substituted cocaine when he got off of heroin. And that particular night, because Brett was supposed to be or Brent, whatever his name was supposed to be an IT guy at the University of Idaho. But she says in that deal that he was doing drugs with him, which is Brent, but she says he is a security guard for University of Idaho, and that they were doing drugs together in the parking lot like they always did. She's talking about cocaine. And then she goes on to say that he borrowed his knife to chop the cocaine, and that he got out and was peeping in the girl's window. That right there tells you that they were sitting in the girl's parking lot. You don't just get out from the University of Idaho and walk over to the girls. The way it describes it, he got out of the car and was peeping in their window, so they had to be sitting in the parking lot of the girl's house. And she goes on to say, so to teach him a lesson, that Brian drove off and left him there, not knowing what he was going to do.
And then came back and grabbed and picked him up.
Yes.
So do you think there were two Elantras then in the neighborhood that night?
I don't know, but Brent Kohberger has a silver Elantra.
No. Are you serious?
Yes. And they show it at his mother's house. Yes.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's back up and think about that nighttime body cam where those kids are getting harassed and getting written tickets.
Right.
That car was silver, but it looked white from a distance. Until they got up to it, that was a silver, but it wasn't an Elantra, it was a Fusion. Or a Ford Fusion.
Well,
and then, those kids, I'm sorry, those kids asked them, like, what are you guys, undercover? And he made up some kind of bullshit. Yeah, he made up some bullshit the cop did about hybrids. And I called and talked to Lanier, and I asked Lanier about his fleet of cars, and he said they have no unmarked hybrids.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
See, something's up with that then. But Brent Kohberger does have that's what he had was
so maybe,
silver.
Could he have been the DoorDash person and the car looked white, but it was really silver?
That makes sense. There's some, I don't care how, but you wonder, because they said they talked to the DoorDash driver. Did they? I mean, did they really?
Yeah.
Because that came from Pullman. So I feel like one of them had to be the DoorDash driver. They had to be in. Because that came 5 minutes away from his apartment. And what I've also read somewhere is that food was never touched. It was sitting in there on that counter, and the bag was, they never got any of the food out of the bag.
Can I tell you my thoughts on Einan?
Yes.
I think you're right, and I think that Einan could be the informant. And
I think so.
Yeah, that's why he disappeared, and then he's posting randos, tagging himself in San Francisco. He's not going to tag where he is. He's not going to say that, and he's so confident that he's not going to get in trouble. That's the thing. When he was like on Hidden True Crime, he was so like overly confident. Like, I don't know. It's just weird. Like, if I'm a dude and I live next door to where these 4 people were murdered, and everybody's kind of wondering who did it, I'm definitely not going to be having that kind of a demeanor.
No. No, and you fought to get into that apartment and then you move immediately. I mean, because you think about, he talks about how long he had to get into that apartment, because of his criminal background. And then you move, just up and move out of the blue. right after all this happened? You know, why wouldn't you want to stay there? You fought really hard to get there. Why wouldn't you stay there? And I don't understand that when he's giving that interview when he posted on whatever he posted on right after the murders, and he says, why these three sorority girls? But he don't mention Ethan. He don't mention the guy. You know, when he posts that, when he's talking about, you know, that the stabbings happened right there in his neighborhood, you know, right here, and he said, why the three sorority girls? But he don't say anything about Ethan. I mean, yeah, don't you remember that post that he posted? That's what they were talking about, the post that he posted right after it happened.
What's WITSEC, Elliot?
Remember he said he Googled it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he had posted that right after it happened and said, you know, 4 people murdered next door or something like that, what he said. And then at the end of it, he said, why 3 sorority girls? There was 4. But he said that at the first, talking about the stabbings. But then at the end of it, he didn't say anything about Ethan. So that tells you right there, you know, about that all he was, you know, was concerned about was the girls, or not even concerned. So yeah, I see some people talking about it right here.
Bringing him into it makes it messy for me, though, because then I start to wonder, like, did Einan know that Brian was going to do this, or like, was it something Brian did like on the sly?
No, they were in it. No, they were together. That's why I guarantee you that Brian said, was anybody else arrested? Because if it would have been, if Brent would have been the person with him, he wouldn't have said, why is anybody arrested? Because he knew he was already dead. Period. I mean, you know, even though they might have, you know, that may have been, you know, kind of like discussion or whatever, but he knew he knew he'd already been shot by the SWAT. So when he said, was anybody else arrested, I do believe he was talking about Enon. Absolutely.
You think it was the 3 of them in cahoots with drugs?
I do. I really do. And I think that 2 of them did it. Because somebody had to be a lookout. And like I said, in Reverend Donna, her reading or whatever, she keeps seeing somebody outside for the lookout. And, you know, and if you listen to that recording, which you and I both believe is real, and I do believe it is real, but that whistle that you hear, I think that's a warning. Like, come on.
I haven't listened. I'm not going to lie. I haven't listened to it that close. Like, I heard it once. I never listened to it again, but that's because I thought it was real, and it just it freaked me out. So that's why I didn't listen to it again, because I did believe that was real, and I do believe that was put out, and I think that was very, very nasty. Whoever put that out there, who would have had control over that? I mean, I can't imagine. I can't even imagine Ethan's mother hearing that shit. I think that is the lowest of the low.
Absolutely. I do agree. But on the other hand, it is put out and you can listen to it. And if you do listen to it, you do hear Ethan say, this is bullshit. And you hear that whistle like several times. And at the very end of it, right before the very end of it, you hear that whistle, you hear, hurry up. And I do believe it's one of them. I don't think there's any way that he went in that house not knowing what was going on inside that house. Somebody had to tip him off, and Enon never had curtains on his windows. He talks about it. How you don't have curtains.
Some reason though, I would be more inclined to believe that Brent Kopaka is the informant and that he's not really dead. That they faked that SWAT for Brian's benefit and to get maybe a reaction or something.
I've never thought about that.
I mean, I listened to the audio of that SWAT, and like, I'm no like law enforcement expert, but I've heard like SWATs, and that did not sound like anybody had any sense of urgency. They didn't practice any non-lethal means. They weren't handling him like a PTSD military veteran. it just didn't seem legit
No,
or
I
real.
agree with that. I agree with that, but I thought it was like some kind of cover-up because what weirded me out is that the call came from an anonymous caller, and I kind of figured that was probably Brian, actually.
What call?
I mean, they say that the call about the person who's going to shoot the roommate came from an anonymous caller. And they talked about that the guy that they talked to when they got there, that he had on jeans and a gray jacket. And,
well, what's interesting is if that was not related, when that investigation is complete, we should be able to get body cam, right?
We should be able to get all of it, and that's a complete hush deal, 100%.
And I actually requested some documents on that, and I was put off until at least May, I think.
Really?
That's why I think he would be more to me as who knows, maybe both of them could be undercover informants. But I do think that being the military vet, I don't think that they are going to take out a military vet like that, and there not be any like outcry. Like, where are all these organizations? Where's all these people saying, "Oh my God, they just killed a vet with PTSD"? I mean, as much mental health as we talk today, it makes zero sense. And usually, when it makes zero sense, there's a reason, and I think that's the reason.
And you've got the one officer, on the audio saying, "Will you bring me my cappuccino? Will you bring me my jacket?"
Exactly.
Are you serious? Really? You have got somebody in here supposedly, with a gun, and you're sitting here asking everybody to bring you something?
Well, we have this PTSD vet that's triggered, and no one seems to be concerned about his mental health and talking to him or getting a negotiator. Where was the negotiator?
Where was the negotiator? Exactly.
And the other thing that was weird too, girl, was the time. Like, they said it started at 8:30 p.m. and then
at night, yes.
They didn't put the alert out until like 3 a.m. Like, for 7 hours, you had these people, in a standoff,
and they only
didn't
left
know?
it out for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yep. I personally think he's alive. I don't know that for certain.
I've never thought about that. I've never thought about that.
So Sal wants to know what you're talking about, the whistle in the audio. They want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay. Some people say that it is a bird, like chirping, like, woohoo. But to me, it sounds clearly like a whistle. And then you hear somebody say, hurry up. Woohoo! You can hear it.
But you couldn't tell if it was like a male or a female. It was just like muffled. Yeah.
People think that it's a bird, like chirping. But to me, it sounds exactly like a whistle. And someone else had said that it sounded like a whistle. But it's probably the loudest thing in the video. Absolutely. It's probably the loudest thing that you hear in the video, and you hear it several times. But on that last one, you can hear someone say, hurry up.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. I just went back over to Brent, though. They said they were waiting on a negotiator. They're like, oh, we have a negotiator here, blah, blah, blah. But we never heard a negotiator come in.
No, not at all.
And then
not
the roommates, like, they got the roommate out. Like, the roommates were the one that he was allegedly threatening, right? And then they got them out immediately. So, like, why'd they keep agitating the guy? If they seriously killed him, then that corruption, like, I guess I just can't wrap my brain around that level of corruption. Because if that happened, like it's being reported it did, then I hope that Brett Boyd or whoever the hell shot him never is a police officer again.
I agree.
Because that's shameful. And I guess maybe part of me wants to think that it wasn't real because I think that it's it's horrible police work.
Well, and has anybody, I have not seen anywhere where anybody has talked to anybody in those apartments at that time, whether they were warned to get out.
Yeah.
Anything.
Where were all the interviews,
Yes, exactly. Where were they? Where were the people in those apartments? Why weren't they evacuated? That's one of the first things you do is evacuate everybody around the scene.
I think that a lot of people probably would like to know that as well. I mean, if you don't evacuate me till 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. and you're telling me this dude was firing shots at 9 p.m., you better damn well explain to me why you told me that I had to get against the wall because my apartment might catch on fire.
I do not get that. Why were they warned about? That's something I don't understand. Why were they warned about the apartment catching on fire?
None of it makes sense.
I mean, why? Why was that a warning? I mean, I don't understand that.
I don't either. But it's crazy that they would also take that kind of risk knowing the attention that was in that area at that time. I just have a hard time believing that all those SWAT team members that showed up there are corrupt like that and none of them would do the right thing.
Well, I do agree with that. And I think that I think there are corrupt everywhere. And I do believe there were corrupt in there. Because, I mean, if you listen to some of the audio from them, from the police talking with each other, how they send some other people to go over here. But no, we want you to go do this. We want you to go do this. Like getting rid of them. You know, making them go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And it, you know, and that right there kind of made me think, you know, well, why are they, you know, they're kind of setting the scene for who they want there. You know, making the other ones go away. And, you know, there'd be a reason for that if they are corrupt. They would only want certain people there that would, you know, back them up. But I just don't understand the warning about the apartment being on fire because they weren't on fire.
No.
Did that? Was it eventually set on fire?
No, there was no fire.
I don't understand.
They didn't even have fire trucks there, so I don't know why.
I don't understand that.
I didn't even see fire trucks in that parking lot. I saw SWAT vehicles, and that was it.
I don't I don't know that it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I'm fixing to have to go to work, so I've got to get off of here.
Well, thank you so much. Great points. Great call. Thank you for calling in. Have a great
absolutely, and I love your show.
Oh, well, I love you too, darling.
I'm Wendy. I'm from Texas.
I just love you, Miss Wendy.
Well, thank you, and I'm going to watch the rest of it when I get home from work.
Oh, well, you have a good night at work, and be safe.
You.
Yeah, be safe out there.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my God, do you not love her? I love Wendy. Wendy, you're my new favorite. Because Brent Kohberger case is prosecuted. Come on, no public records available yet in Bending case. Okay, so as far as Kohberger goes. All right, I'll open up the lines one more time. As far as Kohberger goes, they say that they are actually investigating that. There's a name for it. Hang on. Oh, and then we'll go over the comments real quick before we end the stream, our Monday stream. And I've really enjoyed this. I love hearing your guys' voices. I love talking to you guys. It really gets me pumped up. Like, it gets me excited to do the podcast. I love taking your calls. Okay, so let's see. Let me share this with you. So back to the Kohberger thing. Here is what I can find.
Call from
Gary.
Well, hello. You are live.
Well, great. Thanks for taking my call. Basically, I'm just a new watcher. I've been, for some reason, I get your channels all mixed up. Not yours, but just the overall.
That's okay. That's okay. So what's on your mind?
Well, I've been looking at the actual different viewpoints of the true crime community, basically on YouTube and wherever else, you know. And I don't know. I just something's not feeling right. I don't know if it's like we're not if we're just being lied to in some way, but just the whole timeline thing. People think they got it figured out from 4 in the morning till 4:20. I just don't see it. You know,
what do you think? It's a broader timeline then of the actual
2 a.m. to 6 a.m. And I the reason I bring the 6 a.m. part, just in case there is any monkey business or weird stuff going on, which there obviously is. You know, if you're paying attention, you know, looking at it, it's just that they have, and the coroner doesn't actually get the gloves and mask on or whatever, start looking at things till 5 in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
So with temperature, I have a background in CSI. I'm not going to act like the big shot or nothing like that, but private investigator from Washington State.
Nice.
Retired, but I had my own agency, and I basically just worked for, you know, attorneys and hard to find information, stuff like that. But basically, I don't trust any of it. And what I mean by that, I don't trust the PCA at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so I run through the idea of it's how Dylan says it. You know, sorry to say the name. But,
no, you're fine.
And I'm not going to drag her down or
right.
nothing like that.
Yeah, no,
then
it's fine.
Run through Justin, his idea. You know, if you know where I'm going, and just think, okay, well, play a different scenario out if you're going to, you know, try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And how far can you get with, you know, I don't want to say that, you know, DMs. How far can that get you? Are you a believer? You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How far do you get with that? Then if you sense that it's not true, okay, then that's where I'm leading. That's you know, that's not the timeline. I don't even have the order. Okay, I don't believe in the 3D things and people trying to figure something out that they don't know. It just in case. What I'm leaning to is just in case Washington State, Kim, the mom, or you know, Justin, if they're partially correct, you see what I mean, and how you don't hear from them anymore, and that makes me wonder. Also, when you don't hear from somebody, I find that to be kind of I have one kind of conspiracy, which is just when you don't hear from somebody like Ian Harsh, you know, you don't hear from him anymore, so that you note that you know, you just take notes and think. Same with Olivia. Her Chronicles of Olivia's last video, she mentioned she was threatened, you know, and she had done I'm not a crazy watcher of everybody, but I just throw her in the community.
I didn't realize that she had not made any I didn't realize that.
Her last video mentions something about the Kim and the drunk turkey show, and she pulled her video down from all that.
She hasn't made any since then?
You know, she also mentioned she was threatened if you watch that video. And I mean, I'm not sitting on breaking news or not, but this is just how
I can hardly keep up with this case, let alone, you know, everybody else. So I'm interested when, you know, viewers can fill me in on things that are going on in the community.
Well, yeah, I think I haven't heard many people note that, and I don't TikTok or Instagram or nothing but just YouTube and a Google phone where I can search anything, you know, basically. But I'm not, so I don't know if she's on, you know, making content on other things. But basically, it's swept up about the same time frames that this Ian was no longer talking. And so I put those. And what I mean, did the guys in the sunglasses and suits come by and say, hey, it's the real deal? You're hitting sensitive information. You know, maybe play a prosecutor's card, or could CNN could have liked her interview with the family and offered her a job? You never know. You know what the reasons is. You know, when you don't hear from somebody. But I just found that to be quite suspicious. That we're and as a young lady, and you know, like this, I think she might not have the thick skin that it would take to handle like criticism. Of who would want to if you were threatened. Her last video says she was threatened. You know? So, and so, you know, myself, I'm 57, retired, and I wouldn't care. And I say that just because I'm not the healthiest way, you know, but I can say that kind of laughing, you know, like, hey, threaten me, but it would fit different. I don't know if she's just 21 or just barely 21.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, and who knows? I mean, she was actually out there too, so.
Well, yeah, you know, the good thing with this, she got close to the family, right? And Olivia, I won't say the last name just because I can't say it correctly, but Steve and Olivia, that's
Kaylee's sister.
Yeah, and Olivia's also, you know, the Chronicles of Olivia, but it was just the idea that she could have gotten some information, and then also the thing I want to do is I want to just say, what if Justin and Kim, you know, the Washington State University mom, Kim, and even the different theories like this. I don't know if you see Southern Logic last week. He had a theory that included the same as Justin's theory, except for the players has changed. This time Beth protects Dylan or Dylan protects Beth. You know, instead of Chief Bride doing something, it was somebody else. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the idea that you get all these different theories out. What if there's something there? And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist or like this, but what if there is something there, and the timeline that they're trying to present just isn't the correct one? Because you have to look at that white card, turn it around, and if that's your evidence, my goodness.
Well, that's what I was saying too. I'm like, if they're gonna do a lineup of guys with bushy eyebrows, like they're in trouble, because that's all I notice now is eyebrows, and 8 out of 10 guys have bushy eyebrows.
My first day at CSI school back, I'm from Seattle, Washington, basically, but back in the days of that I was doing that, basically just goes back to the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was on a tag along or whatever, and I worked with some pretty intelligent people, you know, that were very successful and like this. But I went to a cheap motel, and it was an actual murder scene as a student, and I was already a licensed, you know, private investigator at that time, but I was just trying to specialize in more schooling. There was no digital back then. It was all in person, you know, dusting.
Yeah, you were actually like hands on.
Yeah, it was the same time as basically the big OJ trial was happening. They were just learning about DNA, and they were just a CSIS or some kind of a communications device was just being invented, where all the law enforcement agencies communicated with each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was the early days. of
the interesting days. That's when I started following true crime, was in the 90s.
And it was I actually knew Anne Rule, the famous novelist.
Really?
Yeah, and it kind of inspired me to I used to talk about crime with her.
Wow, and she was the one that worked the suicide line with Bundy.
Anne Rule, really?
Yeah, they worked on a suicide hotline together.
My goodness.
Random fun fact. Weird.
I actually was friends with her son.
Really?
And Chris. And it was just the after lunch peanut butter and jam sandwich.
Wow. It's crazy.
And, you know, all the magazines, National Enquirer and everything is sitting on the kitchen table. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that was the time zone back then. The Star magazine, the TV guys.
That was our social media then.
There was I had a cell phone, but it was a brick.
Yeah.
And it was expensive.
Yeah, you were lucky if you had a cell phone in the 90s. Like
92.
That was like highfalutin stuff there.
I believe I had a monthly bill of $1,300. Kid you not? You know how expensive it was back in 92.
Yeah. So you went to this motel. I'm intrigued. So you went to this motel.
That was okay. It was a true crime scene. Well, this is one of the I couldn't even state what it was, but I've been to many crime scenes, and there's something back in the day, like Seattle, King County, that's a big city, right? But if you know the area, But like Mercer Island, Issaquah, Edmonds, Linwood, Briar, there's so many little police departments that can't afford, and so they did things out, if that makes sense. Like they would hire some private investigators for different things, dusting, different. Before it was all like held close to the police departments, they do it all now. They would bring in private investigative agencies just to interrogate. You know, just because they didn't. Smaller departments didn't.
They didn't have
like,
that resource.
they
Yeah.
didn't have a polygrapher, for example. Like Mercer Island, Bellevue, Kirkland, Issaquah. You know, I forget. I know King County, they had a polygrapher, right? Seattle, and that. But like you get in the out communities, you know, they had their smaller budgets, so there was actually work within the community. But my instructor went. It was a Bellevue Community College instructed class, but he knew me also because I worked with Steve Hamry, who was Hamry Investigations. That was the largest investigation company. He did the polygraphs and all the.
Wow.
Yeah, he worked with every police department. I was kind of like his. What you'd say, just like, investigators do work with other investigators.
Like you collaborated, like you partnered up.
Oh, I worked the same job. Yeah. Just because he wants dual surveillance on something. It's not just him driving down the road in 1990. You see what I mean? He wants to have a second investigator watching him and watching everything, stuff like that. Just
right.
Two, three to a job, whatever. So yeah, I mean, but just because I was in with him, my instructor at the Bellevue Community College, Crime Scene Investigation 101, basically, he brought me to the a current crime scene after it was photographed and dusted and everything was done, and it was gruesome. I mean, it was just a cheap motel type of thing, and it was a gruesome. And I actually knew
what type of murder was it?
It was a shotgun. And it was when I say gruesome, it was where the perpetrator actually put a shotgun in a woman, basically. So very gruesome. And that was my first one that I ever saw. And
yikes!
We just do the. They had already, all the big crime scene investigators it was a small world of real, in the early 90s, but they were looking for Ted Bundy. And I actually knew people with a white Volkswagen van that got pulled over that used to hang out in this Denny's parking lot. The police would question them. And, anywhere around SeaTac, if you were in a Volkswagen, you could almost guarantee you were going to get pulled over during a certain time stretch, because they were really after that.
Well, if you're 57, though, you're not that much older than me.
No. Well, I mean, basically, I was 18 years ago. Wasn't Bundy like about 30 years ago?
It was in the 70s, so it was longer than
Bundy
that.
went into the 80s where they didn't have him. Well,
was it in the 80s? I thought it was in the 70s.
Yeah. There was Bundy, and then there was just many. There was Gary Ridgway, another King County killer, and they got them mixed up. Okay, that's what I should have maybe said. There were so many out of SeaTac Airport, Seattle Tacoma Airport. There were
Why is there so many killers in that area? You think
there were so many that. I think they were confused if it was a Gary Ridgway, if it was a Ted Bundy, if it was somebody else, but they were all kind of similar, but there was many. I remember it was a known fact. Just, hey, if you're in a Volkswagen driving around, you're going to get pulled over.
Yeah. So the Volkswagen was kind of like the white Elantra now, or how it was with this case.
I believe it was a white or yellow Volkswagen. But
it was
any old Volkswagen. And I used to have a buddy that I'd go have coffee with at Denny's, and he drove that older. It was the longer Volkswagen. It wasn't the shorter one. It was the bus, but he had an old bus. But he would get pulled over, and they would mess with him in terms of question him, just because it was such a fresh.
You mean they got him like more than once questioning him?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was pulled over a few different times because basically he was one of these guys that would go to the Denny's. Back then, the Denny's restaurant was real popular in the SeaTac area. But
in the what area?
SeaTac, Seattle Tacoma Airport area.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that.
Well, a couple but in between Seattle and Tacoma, there's an airport called SeaTac.
Oh, okay.
But basically, there was a Denny's that was just real popular around that time, of the 80s, let's just say, early 80s, mid 80s, all the way to the 90s. And just that whole area, I think that's why they call it the Green River. Also, because the Green River just runs right by the airport.
I see.
The Green River reference for the Green River, killer. So yeah, but I'm just, and I say this not for attention or anything like that, but I mean, just when you walk the dog backwards in this case, and you look and you try to make sense of, okay, I'm just walking out the door with my bushy eyebrows. I can't do it. Yeah, I just can't. My brain won't allow me to think that was truth.
So, in your professional mind, I don't want to ask you what your theory is, but do you feel that there were others involved? And do you feel that they're being protected, or do you feel it's more like a corruption thing?
It's all over the place. It's just like a bingo board.
Yeah.
Because you can go anywhere with it. But if you walk the dog backwards, that is just go with the truth. And this is what we're told. And you have to prove the truth. Okay? And that's why it's truth. Mm-hmm. So if you can't prove it with one guy, how do you get in the house? And I don't want to talk. I don't. But what I mean is, I don't want to say the same old regurgitated things that Banfield said and that everybody said 100 times. But if you really try to make sense of it, then you think, wow, he definitely had help, or there was more than one. I mean, that's just common sense.
Yeah.
But the other thing about this case is every time you look at something, you almost have the mirrored opposite come out. And I don't know if you understand where I'm going with, but it's just like what would seem like if you look in one little area, like how did he get in the house? Then the mirrored opposite, like comes out and jumps out and says, hey, look over here. It couldn't work like that. You have a sheath here, you got a finger, you get all this little, but the more I notice on this one, it's like if you look into something, other things jump out. Like the moment you watch a Justin video and you think to yourself, wow, there could be something there.
Yeah. Or you've searched and then you hear Justin bring up something you've searched and you're like, wait a minute, kind of validated a few things,
And I've watched, Lana talk to Justin. And when I watched that, I was even asking myself, I'm not pretending to be sharp or anything, but I was even asking myself, wow, is that staged at all? Did they know they were going to be talking to each other? Because I'm a big thinker. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But even so, even if whatever, okay, but just in reading her, I noticed a couple times when she was asked some questions, that's where she was going, if that makes sense. Like the lead-in question to how many people were, present in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I think she leaded in, there was 3, and then he corrected her and said there was 4. Just little things like that I pick up on, just how people, talk. And
for
just
sure.
Like you're leading in a certain way. That means you're kind of believing, or you're going down that road in your investigation. So you're,
well, I had been on her channel the night before, and she said that he had said he listened, and we were kind of talking about DM, and that was kind of what made him want to call in or something.
Well, that's what was said, and like I say, and then somebody from Instagram or Twitter or something gave him a message, and he got on, and then he just randomly called on the show, and then got the invite Yeah, and I believe all that, and I'm not trying to call that out, but I'm just saying that's how my mind thinks. I don't believe what's presented is always just the truth. Like, I question things. That's what.
Yeah.
I would be an investigator just because then I run it through a test. But if you run that one person theory through a test, it just does not. It's very unbelievable. It may be true, but I find it very unbelievable that one person could,
Yeah, I'm really
car.
troubled by the inconsistencies. I'm sorry, go ahead. One person could park the car. Go ahead.
Well, it's a timeline. It's a timeline. One person could park the car, miss the food delivery, and walk out casually and leave a witness, and then speed up. No. There's major. That could have happened. Something like that could have happened, but I think more than one person. If that's going to be your
yeah, and I feel we're missing so many pieces of the puzzle. Like, we don't know who was at the corner club that night. That might hold a lot of answers. Did something happen there where their words exchanged? And I don't know. I mean,
yeah. But isn't it also odd? And I'm not trying to play like a conspiratorial, but it has gotten there. Isn't it kind of odd that you do have the audio, video? Certain videos come out and certain ones are leaked, if that makes sense. Like the body cam video that Atlanta had, Truth and Transparency. I thought the daytime and nighttime noise complaint, that she got credit for or whatever. To me, when I very first watched that, I think between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I can't remember exactly, but my hair was standing up on the back of my neck, and my 100% of my intuitive nature, which is usually pretty correct, was like, my God, I don't trust the police in this one.
Yeah.
That's that way. It was just the way.
It didn't feel right.
The way they were talking about the deck not having steps and saying, oh, you can get a ticket. I have these kind of age children, okay, about 30, actually almost 35 and 20. My children, now they're grown adults, but they could be in that spot. And if a police officer is telling them they could get a ticket for a noise complaint, but they're only renting one little room in the place. See what I mean? It's not their party.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, how could you give a ticket to a 19-year-old for having a party when it's the Phi Kappa, whatever, fraternity, sorority party? It's not really one roommate that's paying $500 a month. It's not really their party. If you see where I'm going. And it was just the way they threatened them and kind of talked to them. And it wasn't just that. It was just it was an eerie feeling.
I didn't like it at all. I didn't like it at all, I'll be honest.
And my feelings, sometimes they're, it's just feelings. And, that's why I look at it. And I will say my eyes are a little jagged. So, like Dr. Ifty says, don't run with what I say. But my eyes are a little jagged. And what I mean by that is that's why I listen to somebody like Justin. Take notes. Listen to somebody like the Kim, and take.
You take all the little breadcrumbs that are put out there and put it all together, right?
Yeah, you take notes. I try to prove it correct. That okay, this one guy's barely going to park the car, miss the grub hub, go in there, and now I don't know the timeline. Kill some people, but the people are living and they're not going to do anything? No, I can't. That's just unbelievable for me. I just can't get past that. Then you can, if you put earbuds in the person's house or in their ears, and imagine it being real stealthy. But now this guy's now a ninja.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Is he really a ninja? I don't think so. I think
a
he's
ninja.
Right. Well, I mean, he has to be almost like a ninja warrior with a knife to go kill 4 people.
Yeah, but Ted Bundy did it, right?
Well, he did I broke my arm. I need a hand here, getting in my car. And then than he would. You know, it was more of a one-on-one.
What about the sorority house, though? He went in the sorority house in Tallahassee.
Florida. Yeah. Believe it or not, I look. It may sound kind of stupid, but I just look at like the. I don't really know too much about a lot of the serialists. Besides, I can mention there's a lot from, or that have swung through, like you said, the Washington State area.
Yeah.
Because it's on the California I-5.
It's just like that pipeline.
Or, you know, and it's going up to Canada, or however you look at it. But there's a lot of it, and but I've never really given them too much credit. And how about this? What if you were on trial like Murdoch was, and there was a Netflix movie or series about you? I don't know.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
We live in some weird times.
I think it's bizarre because here we are. They're fighting in court over a gag order for the media and social media, but then Netflix, you know, is over here with Murdoch just dropping a documentary, making him look guilty as hell.
See, and that's the part that I get conspiratorial on. It's just I see the evidence or the system. I call it the system, the reality, and then the event. And I kind of break things down like that. And it's like, what is the reality? And then you can bring all sorts of things in. You know, everybody's a suspect. In Idaho, I had all the cops as suspects, and everybody's a suspect. And then one by one, you got to see that they're not.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
mm-hmm.
That's the only way.
Do you think that them clearing, like the guy at the like saying, "Oh, the following people are cleared," like 5 days in or 3 days in, saying the 2 surviving roommates, the grub truck guy, or whatever, how many ever days or weeks in, they cleared them rather quickly?
Yeah, after listening to this last caller that you had talk about Topeka.
Yeah.
Excuse me if I don't get the names correctly.
No, you're fine.
And you can easily be, I'm not going to say it's misled like that. It's very interesting, and that's what you can get a lot of different possibilities that you know, with drugs, then you bring in the cartel. Sometimes, you know, like some was talking about the cartel or a drug pipeline, the church. But then if you take notes and say, well, Kim mentioned 2 or 3 out of these 3 things. See where I'm going?
Mm-hmm.
And then Justin mentioned 2 out of these 3 or 4 things. Maybe Justin mentioned more, but then you say, wow, Kim mentioned something about a church and powerful people and drugs. And so you take notes.
Mm-hmm. I've looked into all that stuff, and I think it's interesting that the church was, you know, Chief Fry was getting death threats. I mean, all of this for a small town is insane to me. All this stuff going on.
Oh, but it does keep you. I've got your channel mixed up with another channel. And believe it or not, the weird thing is,
how could you do that?
Well, it was the
how
name.
In the world? I'm just kidding.
It was the name, but then I saw you on Truth and Transparency, and then I said, "Oh yeah, Jays for Justice." I get, you know, I mean, I've started watching you more this last week, and believe it or not, last night I watched your live for probably 4 hours.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes I get a sense that somebody is like, at least I get really like have problems when it's all BK.
Yeah.
You know, 100% of the energies, and it's just like, I know this, I know the timeline. Oh my God, no one knows it.
No one knows, right?
Unless you did it, or your investigators, they may know, but you just, I mean, it just doesn't feel right. It feels like I say, the reality plays a part. And if you were Murdoch and you're at Netflix, you can stream it 24 hours, Mr. Murdoch. I'm watching all about you. You know, what kind of reality is that?
Yeah, I agree.
The other one's a gag order. And what kind of reality is that? And so I still, and I would be kind of right in terms of my gut feeling that I originally had with this case, that the police were somehow involved because they got the suspect who applied at Washington State University, and who knows, maybe he has a few things there, but it was more of just dirty. It was like the wolves or garden of chickens, and I haven't watched those old clips anymore. But
do you think it could be something really messed up like this? Do you think it could be that Brian Kohberger got hired at Pullman and uncovered some kind of drug operation, and then one of the cops that's involved in the drug operation did the murders and set him up? Or do you think that's craziness?
I heard some, you could hear all sorts of.
I mean, I'm just throwing shit at the wall, literally, But
would you take somebody and paint them the way Brian Kohberger is painted by just the media and YouTube and just everything? 90% of the channels just have him guilty, and they're going to tell you all the reasons he's guilty, but they don't have a timeline.
Yeah, I don't think we have enough for me to even go there yet. I don't think there's enough to say he did it and he did it alone. I think there's so much that leads to it could be other people, or other people could be involved, or it could be not him altogether. I mean, the information has just been.
I was scared for Lana and Justin when Justin was given that interview. I was chased out of town in terms of some stuff I was uncovering in 97, 98, a while ago.
Oh,
yeah. But if you're the one that figures this out, watch your back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I was actually afraid.
I mean, it's one thing to speculate and things like that, but yeah, I mean, it is a scary thought because we don't know how deep it goes, and it could not go deep at all. But then there could be two things that are kind of marrying each other and not related but related at the same time. If that makes sense.
You have a lot of points with the school, the sororities, always a problem in that part of. I'm in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, the Wazoo campus, they call it Wazoo, Washington State University.
Mm-hmm.
That's been a party school and just forever, as long as I could remember it.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like a joke of a school compared to the other college they have here in Washington. Like if you want to send your kid out to party, send them to Washington State University for 4 years. I mean, that's like the joke.
Really? What about Idaho? University of Idaho, is it the same way?
Just to be truthful, I just don't have much. There was no reason to ever mention it. You could even say, was it Iowa or Idaho? You see what I mean? There was no reason to mention it just because it was so much that there was never anything in the news about the University of Idaho ever.
Right.
In my whole 57 years until this.
Wow.
And I knew that sometimes they played basketball or baseball or the softball team.
That's crazy.
The women's, stuff like this.
So you never knew about any of these weird things that I've uncovered a few of them, like the Iranian student that was found hanging in the Arboretum.
Oh no, I knew. I followed. Don't get me wrong. What I mean is I followed all sorts of crazy stories running to the Washington State University campus, and I know they're close to Idaho in terms of college campuses like that.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to tell you they were the Vandals, if that makes sense. I didn't know their name. Like the Washington State University, they just won a Pac-12 championship in basketball over the weekend. Over UCLA.
Oh, wow.
See what I mean? They're the Washington State University, and I might not even know them. In what I mean, like where Idaho is the Vandals, because there's so many different names, Wildcats or Cougars. Now I just remembered it. They're the Washington State Cougars.
Cougars, yeah, they're the Cougs.
But I wouldn't if you asked me that if I haven't had my coffee yet, and I'm not gonna remember that one. But that's what I mean. The little things like.
So do you have a law background or?
Basically, I was a private investigative agency in the state of Washington. You could work as a private investigator in the 90s as long as the agency hired you.
Oh, okay.
But you couldn't just practice on your own without being the agency. To be the agency, it was 100 questions in Olympia, Washington, the capital.
Yeah.
And then you had to pay your insurance.
Your
and
voice just sounds really familiar. Maybe it's just...
No, I'm nobody. And what I mean by that is when I say I'm nobody, I'm nobody.
Well, you have really good insight, and you sound kind of familiar, but you sound, I mean, you're educated in this topic, so it must be it sounds like I'm listening to an episode of ID or something.
Crime Scene 101.
Yeah.
The crime scene. But to work, you got to trust the police. In this one, I don't.
Yeah. And I don't like that. Mm-hmm.
I don't like it either. But I use the police the same as the system. Okay, whether it's a court system, healthcare, police, it's just part of the system, right? When I say the system, and the reality, they seem to be at going the opposite directions in this case. You know, a Dido 4. It seems like, my goodness, you can't get a straight answer at anything you look into.
Anything even like, simple.
Something else just jumps up like it's cloned. You see where I'm getting at? And then it takes the information, almost reverses what you just thought you learned. You immediately get like well, look, there's a sheath. Oh my goodness. And there's DNA on it. But how'd you get this suspect? You see, because you can't figure out how you even got him arrested.
Well, yeah, because the U.S.C campus cops went out looking. Remember, one was in the office searching on the computer, and the other one was driving around. I was like, whoa.
You can't believe that.
In a half an hour's time, boom, they found him. It's like, it's not even believable half the shit we hear, you know?
Exactly. That's the key word. Everything you hear is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. To lay people.
And then the Brett tobacco thing, that was I found that to be quite interesting. You know, myself, just quite interesting, the timeline. And then they had almost a kidnapping, and another 19-year-old killed himself. And that was just the past 2.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Washington State University, all sorts of things happened.
Well, there's a man. Did you hear about the latest that was posted yesterday in Pullman? The man creeping around the sororities.
Did he have a knife?
No, this guy didn't have a knife. He was just walking around creeping, and then they said he was like masturbating. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Urinating. That's what I was, because they call that the same. Like,
oh yeah, the same charge.
The same charge or whatever. But I was actually looking for pictures. This is how I was last night. I was actually like trying to look for true crime pictures, and I'm not a psycho like this, where I'm not into this kind of stuff. I was just trying to look for some true crime pictures of that case. It was at Bellevue. It was in Bellevue, Washington, approximately. I'm guessing 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not great at math. Probably 30. Probably
a stabbing.
No, it was the shotgun one.
Oh yeah. Oh, the same one. Yeah, sorry.
But then I was thinking, was that Bellevue? I was at Bellevue College, but we drove down. I think it was actually in close enough. Even Seattle and Bellevue are pretty much just a half hour apart. Nowadays they used to be only shorter distance, but traffic now it's a half hour. Used to be half that time. If you had to run to Bellevue, I could do it, much less time. But nowadays you always have traffic, so it takes a half hour. But yeah, I really appreciate watching your show, and I continue watching. Basically, we're only looking for I'm just looking for evidence. And sometimes when you keep it simple, and just you're still looking for evidence, you're still looking for a timeline, that just keeps your mind open, and you don't run with something that's unbelievable.
I agree. I think we can all get a little crazy too with
Well, absolutely. I love the series about not love him, but you know what I mean. I'm listening and I'm watching, but that's why I love Justin so much, just because it leveled the playing field. Because in my mind, there's no timeline. The people, you know, it could have. What's the difference between 6 in the morning and 4 in the morning? Nothing. You know?
Why did they need those? Well, they needed the murders to be wrapped up at that time because then that car was seen speeding away from the neighborhood. So that kind of fit in with their little timeline.
But nothing. And how would, if let's just say the county is in cahoots with the coroner and the police and the prosecutor, that's the system that I mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I say the system is the system. And if you're late till prosecutor says, hey, we need it 4:00, and they'll nod to the doctor. Oh, no problem. I am also an attorney. No, I'm joking there. You know, but the coroner's an attorney? My goodness. You know.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, that was it just started out insane. And then and then you start seeing court documents being filed and you see Julie Fry, which is the chief's wife. Like she's the clerk of courts.
The coroner is also, at the very beginning of this case, there was a guy with a knife, and this coroner was also a public defender.
Oh, yeah, she defended him. Mm-hmm.
Remember the guy with the knife that may have been an early suspect?
Yeah.
In this Brian Kohberger thing. So, yeah, I mean, like I say, everything you look at almost like doubles, like if you're trying to pop a balloon, you throw a dart at the balloon, it turns into 2 balloons.
Yeah.
Even when you pop it. It's
yep,
like,
and it's nonstop. It's nonstop. It's the weirdest thing because I started to think I was getting punked because every time I went on YouTube, I would find something new. It would pop up in my recommendations because of the stuff I'm watching. And I'm finding all these weird old things that happen there. And they have like 40, 50, or maybe 200 views, you know, not very many views. And
have you ever heard of the Chaos Sector?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, I watched this one a couple months ago because I like doing some of the, a little more of the, what's that word? Conspiratorial.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They were, the Chaos Sector, they had a couple, and they have one where they got Mark Furman, but they have episodes like 1 through 14 on this thing going back for a couple months ago. But their episode 3, I noticed, had 20,000 views, and all their other episodes only have like probably an average of about 1,000 or less. See what I mean? But somehow the episode 3 got 20,000 views. But Ed, they do talk about it being a possible frame, and I think about this while I try to find the actual timeline. I just think to myself, at least he had help getting in the house. You know, at least he had to have some kind of help, because you don't get rid of evidence and all that if it's as bad as they say it was in terms of messy and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like what do you think about the blood like going out on the foundation and like no blood being like tracked out at all? Don't you think it would be very bloody scene?
I don't believe that was blood, just because I just don't. But I believe that that's where the reality of the system want to show, for some reason, I don't know why, but I don't want to start to sound crazy, but they want to show certain things just to get, it's almost like a loosh harvesting, if you ever heard of that.
What's that?
Okay, well, loosh is like, they say loosh is when, I don't want to get too conspiratorial, but if you...
You're fine.
If you scare people, like that's what the Pizzagate and all this kind of stuff was.
Oh, like the fear factor.
Well, the blood being the loosh might be an ingredient in blood that's not. If it's not scared, it's not. It's not right. or like this, but like a bee system or something here that lives off of loosh. It just wants more loosh. Got to have more loosh, and that's how I feel like the reality of the system. Or almost, they're manipulating this event for sure. It's manipulated, gang orders, all sorts of crazy things. If you look into it, you hear more crazy things, and the more you look into it, the more, it's very strange. That's all I'll say.
I call those rabbit holes.
Oh, absolutely. But like I say, you dig up one rabbit, you got two more.
That's the truth. That is the truth. Caller, what's your first name again? I'm sorry, I didn't catch it.
Gary.
Gary. Okay, you've been a great source of information.
I'm surprised you took my call, Norm. I'm in a wheelchair now, and I'm not doing super great in terms of all this kind of stuff. I still manage to take care of myself.
Hey, well, I am really happy to meet you, Gary, and
I appreciate you too very much, and hopefully, I'll just keep on watching and let others call you.
I'd love to pick your brain on other cases. So please do, stay in contact.
The crazy thing about me is I'm a one case person.
Are you?
And I just say yes. I will not even. And I couldn't help myself with the Murdoch because you can't miss it, because it's coming at you like that. But
that was a hard one to look away from.
Yeah, I looked away because I'm like that. When I look at something, I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed. But that's just how I do it. That's my nature. That's
how you operate.
Drive my ex-wife crazy. I'm joking. That's how I operate.
Well, but, hey, make yourself known if you're in chat, and thank you so much for calling in.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you so much. You have a good day.
Nice to talk to you. You have a good night. All right, bye. What an awesome caller. That was a great way to end our callers. Wow. Yeah, Gary, thank you so much. All right, so let's get into, this is what Pullman has put out. This is yesterday now. Or sorry, this is Friday. This is the Pullman, I don't even know what you want to call him. Perv. Oh, wait, we got a name. Jason Olin. 46-year-old Jason Olin turned himself in on Sunday, March 5th, and he was booked into the Whitman County Jail. Well, at least they got him in jail. Good God. But now we have this one. Can you ID me? Officers would like to identify the driver of this vehicle, possibly related to suspicious activity in the 900 block of West Main this morning. Officer Patrick. It takes a village. At least they didn't put Pullman Strong. Jason Olin. Ugh, do I dare Google him? He looks like a disturbed individual. Jason Olin, Idaho. Or would it be Washington? Is this old? No, this is new. He went to court. Ew. This is March 6th. He went to court today, 1 hour ago, you guys. This was posted 1 hour ago. Hold on. Oh my gosh, as one, really? Is that the UI? Did you guys see the UI professor that would, they put out a vandal alert that this lady was on meth. Did you guys see that? The 46-year-old Colfax man accused of exposing himself to Washington State University sorority students is a convicted child molester. Jason Olin made his first appearance in Whitman County Superior Court Monday morning. Olin turned himself into Pullman police on Sunday. Olin is accused of exposing himself to WSU sorority students on Greek Row Friday afternoon. Whitman County Senior Deputy Prosecutor Tessa Scholl told the court on Monday that Olin has a lengthy criminal history dating back to 1994. He was convicted of felony second-degree child molestation in Olympia in 2013. He was also arrested 2 other times for allegedly molesting children. Scholl told Whitman County Superior Court Judge Gary Libby that Pullman police believe Olin hasn't been exposing himself near WSU since early February. $25,000 bond. If Olin posts bond, he's banned from the city of Pullman, so he'll just go to Moscow and do the same shit. Yuck. Yeah, I mean, if you had a mask covering his face, like if you saw him like this, would you say his eyebrows are bushy? I don't know. I'm sure they have to have more than that, though, guys. I mean, I certainly hope so. What was the other one that I told you guys about? Oh, yeah, the UI professor. Check this out. And this shit is not hard to find. Watch this. UI professor vandal alert meth. Now watch this. The Argonaut. Here we go. This is Chief Fry's favorite paper. Is anyone here from the Argonaut? We have Brandon Hill from the Argonaut. Thank you, Brandon Hill. UI warns students of Professor barred from campus. 1/30/2019. Denise Bennett. Moscow police records obtained by the Argonaut. So the Argonaut is retaining. Oh my God. The Argonaut is getting public records from the Moscow Police Department. So funny. So this Professor Bennett admitted to police she last used methamphetamines November 3rd. So she was having marital issues and all this stuff. Both parties stated their marital issues revolved around Bennett's recent methamphetamine usage. Bennett looked and acted despondent, stating she was a professor at U of I and both her work and home life were shit. So this is Bennett, Denise Bennett. Make it make sense, right? A professor in the journalism and mass media department was put on administrative leave in January of 2019, I guess. And then wait till you see what the vandal alert said. The information that was included in the vandal alert, which came from us, stemmed from one of our officers watching the live feed. He said, I recognize her. I had a case with her last year. And this came from Tyson Barrett, the Moscow, Idaho campus cop, the lead of the campus cop. But where is that damn vandal alert? It's horrible. Like, it's crazy. They banned her from campus and like, here it is. Where the heck is the vandal alert? They have a reinstate Denise Bennett Facebook. Oh, why can't I find the actual vandal alert? But it said like she's using meth, all this stuff. Here it is. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Check it out. There's Miss Denise. Where's the... All right, I'll just read it to you guys. It says, vandal alert. Denise Bennett has been barred from Moscow campus. Recent admittance to police of meth use and access to firearms. If seen on campus, call 911. So apparently there's all kinds of scandals going on in this town. This is her. She conducted a YouTube live stream in protest of her administrative leave. Is that crazy or what? Is this what they do to people when they want them gone? Craziness, huh? It never like Pullman area never ceases to give you something to talk about, that's for sure. So Tyson Barrett was handling this situation apparently. Yeah. So that's that. Let's get to the conclusion of our show with the good, the bad, and the ugly, where I read your comments, good, bad, and ugly. Good, bad, and ugly. Let's do it, shall we? Let's get Bennett off there, and let's get our... And they're not all bad comments, you guys. These are just comments that I've pulled. Most of them are about the case. And I thought there were some really good comments. So kind of strange that we haven't heard one freaking word from those two roommates. Oh my gosh, hang on. Let me get this off here. Yeah, I got to turn that off loop. Okay. So we're going to start with BDMC. You all want so badly for there to be some kind of a conspiracy or movie quality plot twist. But this is the real world, people. Stop having fun with this tragedy. It is gross. Do you agree or disagree with that comment? I don't think we're having fun with it at all. I think this is true crime and like this is what we do, right? We follow cases and we speculate and we talk them through, and
one-way ticket.
I don't see anything wrong with it. As long as you're not hurting anyone, I feel like there's no harm, no foul. Cruise Boston. Wow, I realized before Maddie was trash, but this enhanced video really shows her struggling to stand upright and still. She's a tiny girl, so I'm sure it wouldn't take a ton to get her this drunk. It will be interesting to see if anything else is in her system, like perhaps spiked drink from the bar. And I found that interesting because the video that I shared a couple days ago, there was a video made by WSU students, and they go on about girls getting roofied at the bar. And I'm getting that link right now. You guys can watch this at your own leisure, but it is very interesting. These two videos in this right here that I just shared were made respectively 2 and 3 months ago. So these are new. And this is the WSU students putting those together. So you're going to want to watch that. So I guess it's possible. DAF3704 says, I wouldn't be so skeptical of the hoodie guy had they at least spoken one word to him. The girl in the gray hoodie, which is Kaylee, did not even make eye contact or so much as look in his direction. Everyone else is looking around, even her friend. Just saying. I thought that the interaction was interesting as well. Lack of interaction, I guess. And how interactive he was with big guy in a little coat. Streaming is disturbing. This is Debbie Lemons.
Roro causing Pawpaw. I mean, that's
Roro.
not,
Who was Roro?
Streaming is disturbing. These are kids, college age, but kids, and they're being streamed online for the world to see and find out who they are. Too many crazies out there. I don't know, validation boy. Day by Day said, Jay, I heard you knew him. Is that a rumor? I was like, knew who? They're talking about like Kohberger. And then Two Hearts, One Song Forever said, wow, was this ever solved? I don't understand why the poor puppy and the guy with a knife on a bike were ruled out so fast. And then Go Lucky has a response to Mr. C. Scott Green, the president of UI. That's GREEN, like the color.
Cut his mic. Cut his mic.
And Paw Cat, we're going to be talking about the food truck being streamed. That was what that person was talking about. I don't think that these kids should be streamed like that. I think that since COVID, now creeps have found creepy ways to, just watch young girls. And I'm going to show you an example right now. I saved one on YouTube earlier because I'm highly disturbed by this. I don't like it. You guys can let me know what you think. But I'm just going to show you the title. I'm not even going to play the video because this shit makes me sick. And I don't think this is right. Okay, so now there's people that are getting body cam and, they're putting it on YouTube. Body cams are everywhere on YouTube. And this started coming up in my recommendations. And I think that YouTube needs to take a look at this because, this is called Beyond the Mug Shot and it's, it's body cam and everything. But look at the title. Now, granted, this girl is an adult. She's like 19 or 20. Pretty girl crashes, gets busted for DUI after attending her first ever party. If this is my daughter, I'm not digging this. I'm not digging this at all. And if you go to these channels, they're all girls.
Hey,
they're all girls. Take a look. This is predator shit, in my opinion. To anyone who might be interested in helping the channel obtain new footage. They just joined January 30th. Every mugshot has a story. We expose that story through a raw look at real police body cam and dash cam. But I'm sorry. I'm too pretty for jail. It's all girls. UCF student busted for underage DUI. I mean, like, what is this? In a bikini? I mean, what are they looking for? Like the creepiest? This is just wrong. Sorry, I find this to be predatorial and wrong. And they only have 4,000 subscribers, so I am definitely not subscribed. And I keep getting this bullshit in my recommended, and I don't like it. It's perverted and it's nasty. Report the shit. What you do is you go, how do you report? You go to about, then hit that flag. If you want to report it, it's nasty. It's just wrong. I'm getting this channel and another one. And another channel. See this? I'm going to put don't recommend because it's nasty. It usually just pops right up like it's right there. And it's been annoying me. So, yeah. All right, guys. Just some weird shit. You know, it's just always creeps finding ways to creep. And I don't like it. Oh, there's another. Wait a minute. One more thing, you guys, along those lines. Hold on. Let's go and see. How inappropriate, Pullman. Check this out. We'll go into these. We'll do a watch party of this shit. These are all new, too. This is 2 months ago. College Hill. This is all filmed in Pullman. Have you guys seen this shit? You want to talk about disturbing?
Keep your eyes out. He's wearing a blue jacket.
Oh, if you see the Halloween episode.
Thanks.
1560 Northeast Brandyway, The Grove, time now 23.
11th. Oh my God, I just clicked on this. What the freak?
You're on it.
I'm on it. I'm excited. I'm here.
A cloud chaser. That's the first time I've heard that. That's funny.
Proper response for an injury accident in the area 1560 Northeast Brandyway, The Grove, time now 2341. First party witness. Patients are lying on the ground screaming.
6-3, got 2 patients laying on the ground. What response do you have? Medics coming.
Pullman 481, we've got a damaged fire hydrant. We're going to need somebody to...
This is when that hit and run happened, remember? The hit and run in Pullman.
Come out from water to try to seal it off.
So we had a caller call in and report that a vehicle struck 2 pedestrians, almost hit a third, struck a fire hydrant, and then left the scene. We had officers and obviously the ambulance respond to the scene, discovered 2 people that had been struck by what we determined later to be a large dark-colored SUV. Those people were both transported to the hospital. I believe they should recover from their injuries. A third person jumped out of the way or they would have been struck as well. The fire hydrant, we had to have the city come shut it off. It was actually about to erode an entire hill based on the quantity of water coming out of it. There was also like a partial electrical box that had been struck.
406. 406. I located the vehicle.
Wait a minute. Willis, is that the same guy, Blaine? Is that the guy from the press conferences? The dean of students? What's his last name? Wills? So this is the car, apparently.
On California Street near Monroe, Lake Washington. It's unoccupied. I've got the substantial damage, particularly front right, missing grille, as well as yellow paint transfer from the hydrant.
Officers later found the vehicle involved at a different location, and we ended up arresting somebody that we believe.
Okay, so they're arresting someone there. Do you see that? Look at the white Hyundai Elantra. Yeah, they have their own show. When did this happen? Shortly after midnight.
Conducted the hit and run, and we conducted a DUI investigation on that individual as well. Please do not drink and drive. If you need a ride, there's Cougar Safe Rides. Call a sober friend, call college cabs, find some other way. Worst case scenario, walk. If you call us, we will call resources for you to try and get you a ride as well. Just whatever you do, don't drink and drive because it does affect people.
Okay, watch this. This is
ridiculous. What's going on tonight, officer?
Where's my camera guy when I need him?
3 months ago.
Where's the Pullman OD? What's going on?
Look at the cowboy. Oh my God. Wait for it.
Kevin. Hey, you trespassed. Just head home, man. He said green hat, so head home.
Yes.
Okay. All I said was, do not push me.
Sure.
His girl
Were
goes,
you in line or were you already inside?
I was leaving. I'm leaving. I'm walking home.
It was the other dude that was causing the issues.
Because he's saying some girl shoved him, but obviously if everybody's getting close and girls are getting groped, I can understand shoving starting on the end of get away from me, right?
Exactly.
If the guy in the Yankees hat comes back, call us, because we didn't ID him to formally trespass him.
Now, would the girls and Ethan like have come over to this town to like party on Halloween?
How do I look? You look great. Ooh, there you go.
So we were on foot patrol on Opal, and coming up we started hearing loud crowd fight noises, which we hear often and kind of will respond to. Came up and saw basically an entire fraternity house spilling out, and several other people walking away from the incident led us to believe there was an assault that occurred or assault that...
Yeah, there's a weird thing in here where there's a guy and he's like, my son-in-law is trying to buy drugs. I'll show you.
Occur. One of the individuals tried to come back and walk through us when we were stopping him and assaulted me, so he got arrested for assault 3, which is assault on a law enforcement officer.
Who's that with the long
So
hair?
He was taken to jail.
We're going to have to sit down one night and watch some of
Through
these.
us when we were stopping him and assaulted me, so he got arrested for assault 3, which is assault on a law enforcement officer. So he was taken to jail for the night. All of the individuals were passed from the property, the fraternity property, and if they come back, they're subject to his arrest as well. So we're definitely keeping an eye out to make sure the other 2 that were involved don't go back on the property and don't cause problems throughout the night. We found out that it's the same people that we had trespassed earlier from one of the local bars here, so. What are you up to?
Freezing my ass off out here.
You could put on some clothes.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't look so damn good.
Here, dump it out. So, open container, $750 ticket.
So if we see you with one again tonight, you're gonna get that ticket, okay?
Just make sure you throw it away.
Find the trash can.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good
All
night.
right, have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Are you walking on your own?
No, he's trying to buy drugs.
Okay.
And I don't agree with it, so I said, do you?
I think these are all put out for a reason, because isn't it weird that there's like white Elantras everywhere?
Gotta do.
Okay.
And so I'm going to the room.
Okay.
This is what I was talking about. Listen. Did you guys ever hear that Brian had like a kid? Did you guys ever hear that? All right, watch this dude. We got to watch carefully.
So I said, do what you gotta do.
Okay.
And so I'm going to the room.
Okay.
He can sit here and stay with these assholes.
Well, he's walking off.
Is he
so-
staying
in the hotel with you?
He left his job, probably probation.
Is he staying?
You hear this? You hear this? Who is this guy? Hold up. Wait till you see the guy walking that's buying drugs. Watch.
Stay with these assholes.
Well, he's walking off.
Is he
so-
staying in the hotel with you?
He left his job, probably probation.
Is he staying in the same hotel as you?
I don't know.
He's not in your room though.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll go see if he wants to talk to us. And then
Yeah.
if you go to your hotel, you guys will be separate.
I'm good.
Everything will be good.
Thank you.
All right. Cool.
Take care.
Have a good night, sir.
Are you headed home or what? Your father-in-law wants you to leave him alone for some reason. Okay.
This is who's across the street. Who is this? Is this Kohberger? Yo, is that the Kohbergs? Come on now.
Don't be out here trying to buy drugs, man. Get home safe.
And that's where it ends. That's where it ends. Halloween weekend, and Brian referenced Halloween. Watch closely again. Here's the old man. Watch.
He's trying to buy drugs.
Okay.
And I don't agree with it, so I said, do what you gotta do.
Okay.
And so I'm going to
Your own?
No.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Are you walking on your own?
No. He's trying to buy drugs. Okay. And I don't agree with it, so I said, do what you got to do. Okay. And so I'm going to the room. Okay. He can sit here and stay with these assholes.
Well, he's walking off.
Is he staying in the hotel with you?
He left because he's on probably probation.
Is he staying in the same hotel as you?
I don't know.
He's not in your room though?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, we'll go see if he wants to talk to us. And then if you go to your hotel, you guys will be separate. Everything will be good.
Thank you.
All right,
cool.
take care.
Have a good night, sir.
Are you headed home or what? Your father-in-law wants you to leave him alone for some reason. Okay, don't be out here trying to buy drugs, man. Thank you. Get home safe.
Thank you, he says. I know, is that Brian's dad? This dude's out here buying drugs.
Have a good night, sir.
Are you headed home or what? Your father-in-law wants you to leave him alone for some reason. Okay, don't be out here trying to buy drugs, man. Thank you. Get home safe.
What are you guys thinking? It's a very quick snippet.
Are you headed home or what? Your father-in-law wants you to leave him alone for some reason. Okay, don't be out here trying to buy drugs, man. Thank you. Get home safe.
What do you guys think? Right. I think that's Brian's dad. And he's like, I'm going back to the room. So if that is Brian, well, maybe he's mistaken about the father-in-law thing. Maybe he just, I don't know. That's weird. Here, I'll play it again.
Dump it out. So, open container, $750 ticket.
Oh, and every time they say there's a ticket, they raise it. They'll be like $1,000. It's $1,000. It's $600.
See you with one again tonight. You're gonna get that ticket, okay?
Just make sure you throw it away for next time.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too.
Are you walking on your own?
No. He's trying to buy drugs.
Okay.
And I don't agree with it.
Whoops. Well, he gets unblocked out. You guys can laugh all you want. You'll probably find out in trial that Brian has been there before. You guys all laugh. But I'm going to slow it down and because there's a part where he's not blurred. And you guys think I'm crazy, but you know what? Crazier things have happened, especially in this case. All right, here we go. Yeah, his dad is a pretty big guy, isn't he? He's pretty tall and big. This is episode 5, season 1, episode 5. Does Brian's dad have a pink phone holder in the video? Oh man. Well, these episodes are all for your viewing pleasure. Yeah, they're quite disturbing, but this is how I find all these things. Like all this stuff comes up. Look, 7 years ago, College Hill assault. This right here, 11 months ago, 47-year-old Kenneth Downing broke into homes and raped women in the early 2000s. He was caught by DNA. So there's a lot. Raw scene of WSU shooting in Pullman a year ago. I mean, there's so much, you guys. This is literally the town, like the towns from hell. And this right here, this Murrah News 8 is their college station. So really interesting to see what the kids put out. And this is from 1 year ago. And they didn't catch the person. Oh, here's the trailer for the college show. So have fun. Jay, did you ever get the email I sent you with all the pics from the group? Probably. I'm not sure, Annie. I don't know what your email is. But there's all kinds of interesting stuff you can find on Pullman, honestly, if you just scroll. And these kids don't feel safe. There's like this one. Look at this. Police compilation. This is interesting. This right here is interesting. This is police respond to Pullman party, August 29th of 2020. And you have all these parents here.
You, but
Okay. Tammy.
Karens.
Tammy. Okay. You're the property owner, apparently.
So they got in trouble because they were partying when they weren't supposed to be during COVID. So this lady here is supposedly the homeowner, and I don't know, man. Check this out.
all right. Sorry, I hate being the party police. It's not the most fun job to be ruining people's fun. I'll hand you this back. This is the citation here. It's a civil penalty like we talked about. It's the basic equivalent of getting pulled over and getting a traffic ticket. So your information is going to be up top here. My name and badge number is right here. Date of offense. Basically, it's a Pullman City Code. It falls under a violation of a cease and disperse order. It's the same thing as we call a first offense nuisance party. It's a civil penalty. It's $150. You do have options here. Right here you can read. Basically, you can pay it, you can go to mitigation hearing, or you can test it in court, okay? So you have that option. I would do it within a reasonable amount of time. Right here you can read. Basically, you can pay it.
This kind of struck me as odd because I thought this lady kind of looked like Xana's mom, but a little bit healthier. And I thought that kind of looked like Jeff Kernodle, but I don't know.
You can go to mitigation hearing, or you can test it in court, okay? So you have that option. I would do it within a reasonable.
Like, I don't understand what she's.
I'm probably a couple weeks or so. Otherwise, there's a potential that they could call you and talk to you. And I think with the city code ones, they can't.
Does somebody have a dog like that? EW?
If you have any questions, you can contact the court right here at this number, or this is the website for them. Do you have any questions about this today?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'll leave you with this.
Okay.
I hope you have a better rest of your day.
Appreciate it. All right, thank you.
Thank you. If you guys want to do stuff in the future, my suggestion is inside or backyard, out of sight, out of mind completely. Have a better rest of your day, okay? This number, or this is the website for them. Do you have any questions?
It's just a weird setup, isn't it? Another parent look like, yeah, they got tickets. They weren't supposed to have gatherings. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. So you guys have fun with your Pullman, whatever the hell you call it. But, this is the other one. This Real World Police. This is the other one I keep getting recommendations, and they're just as nasty. Well, they do other ones, but see this? See all these? I don't like that. But that other one is all girls. But this one is almost as bad. But they kind of mix it up more. But they have their fair share of college girls that they throw in here too. So I mean, now granted, some of them are entertaining, but like this channel isn't bad. But that other one is all geared for the other. So anyways, it is 6 o'clock. I have been live for 3 hours. This was one hell of a Monday live. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We have kept steady, about 500 people here. That is amazing. You guys are the best. So I'm going to let you dance it out now. And
whoa, I never realized this stuff. Yeah, you've really opened up my eyes.
hopefully you learned something today. And I will see you guys real soon. I think Wednesday we're going to be doing Debbie Collier. Her autopsy came out. It's crazy as hell. It's crazy as hell. And then we will set up sometime where maybe we can go through some of these. I don't want to play them all because I'll get struck. But you guys go watch those Pullman things. I'm dying to know what you guys have to say about it. I will see you guys real soon. Dance it out and stay safe.
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn.
Roro causing Papa.
Roro, who was Roro?
You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to France. Shall we play a game? But I ain't got time for that.
Oh, thank you, Mike, for your super chat. I'm sorry I didn't get to thank you. Thank you, NC Rain, and thank you, Mike. And Openly Avoidant, thank you for your super chats. I'll see you guys soon.
La 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 means be quiet and let me finish.